All right, what is going on, people? We are back with another video. JV Wins Dogon SS. We are here once again to kick that logical content. Conscious Approach has returned for yet another week. July the 22nd. Major shouts out to everybody who has been following along with us. Before we get things kicked off, as always, I want to send out my typical disclaimers. We are now available on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify for anyone who is wanting to check us out, but you're not necessarily in position to watch us on YouTube. We are now available in those podcast spaces. Where else did you say that we popped up on?
Audible, bro.
Audible. Yeah, that's what's up. And I did I do that? I don't even know if that was me. That may have just been I gotta look into that. I don't know if that was me that did that or not. Because
it might be an Amazon thing. I don't know if it's cross-platform thing going on.
Yeah, it could be, because I don't think I did that. But be that as it may, we are now available on those places as well. If you want to check us out, if you're riding in the car, at the gym, or whatever, can't really check us out on video form, we are now available in audio form. Also, a thing that I've been saying lately, but I do want to continue to stress because I do think it's important. We don't take for granted the value of your digital currency. As someone who does not subscribe to, like, follow, or comment 10% of the content that I regularly come into contact with, I understand the value of one's digital currency, and we don't take it for granted, because it takes a lot of effort to actually click that subscribe button. And so I know, and we know, that if you click that subscribe button, it is because you genuinely feel that you are getting value out of the content. So we appreciate everybody who's been hitting that subscribe button, leaving those comments and hitting those likes, because we do not take those things lightly. Now,
hey, speaking of subscription, man, make sure we get the overlay over here so we can so I can point to the subscribe button. Even though it is.
Yeah, it's on there. Yeah. You don't see
straight
it?
Black. Nah, mine straight black, playboy.
I'm looking at it on my end. Let me try to take it down and then put it back up, but I'm looking at it.
Okay,
you see it now?
Yeah,
okay. That's weird. It was up there on my screen. Hopefully it was up there for everybody else's.
You not stream y'all though.
Yeah, but yeah, so we got those pleasantries out of the way. We'll go ahead and get things kicked off this evening. First thing that we're going to talk about is an interesting story that I saw involving Clipse. Clipse been around for a long time. I'm personally a fan of Clipse, which should come as no surprise to anybody who knows my taste in music. Clipse recently put out an album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. It came out a couple weeks ago. I've been listening to it. I'm a big fan of it. But one of the interesting things that came out of the Clipse album is the revelation that they don't copyright protect their music when it comes to content creators. So basically, you know how you can be online and you'll have content creators, whether it's YouTube or TikTok or wherever, and they'll react to stuff. So there's people who listen to albums and they react to it, or songs and whatnot, but you can't monetize the content because it's copyright protected by the artist. So apparently Clipse doesn't do that. They don't copyright protect their content in such a way that you cannot monetize it when using it to create content on your own platform. And so there's one such content creator who was highlighting this when talking about how the Clipse do business when they went to do their own review of the Clipse latest album. So this says Clipse is sharing revenue with reactors and content creators covering their album. Whether you hate it or love it, Let God Sort 'Em Out is at the forefront of hip-hop discussion these days, and Clipse are sharing that excitement with fans. Specifically, content creator and reporter Victor Baez took to Twitter to reveal that the duo in Rock Nation did not demonetize his reaction for copyright. Rather, they are sharing the revenue between creators and the rights holders. Clipse looking out for the reaction community. The only album this weekend to not demonetize me. They're actually sharing revenue, Baez wrote. He compared the Virginia duo's strategy to Travis Scott's Jack Boys 2 and also to Justin Bieber's Swag. The teams behind those releases demonetized Victor Baez's reactions to them. Of course, this doesn't confirm that Clipse are doing this for every single reaction out there or that this revenue sharing will last forever. So take this with a grain of salt. But seeing this example in isolation is heartening for content creators. In any case, this album rollout is giving everyone in the space a little bit to eat. You may recall that a similar narrative about this emerged for the Kendrick Lamar diss tracks against Drake last year. In that case, the revenue sharing eventually went away, and this is far too broad of a concept to apply universally to every single one. However, speaking of Justin Bieber, Clipse might have caught shade. The Canadian superstar recently posted an Instagram story praising his new album, but shading the hip hop legends. Still, he deleted this shortly after, so these were probably some unintentional shots. So that's not, well, it goes on to say, nevertheless, a lot of discourse around Let God Sort Him Out focused on all the beef narratives, sales conversations, and old head bias. Despite some of the hate towards it, most fans are just focusing on the music and nothing else, only addressing whether or not they like it. Many of those are the reactors and content creators who are hopefully benefiting from the strategy. We'll see whether or not this lasts and in what other ways Clipse will give back to fans. So you can see here if I, get out of that and then I share this real quick. So this is Mr. Victor Baez's tweet. So you'll see here it says, Clipse looking out for the reaction community. The only album this weekend to not demonetize me. They're actually sharing revenue. So you'll see that if I pull this up here, here's his reaction video that he made for Travis Scott, Jack Boys 2, and it's ineligible to be monetized and it's partially blocked. And then here is the one for Justin Bieber, same thing, partially blocked, ineligible for monetization. And then here's the one here for Let God Sort Him Out by Clipse, where there are no restrictions and whatever content he created via his reaction piece was able to be monetized. So what do you think about the fact that apparently, at least for the purposes of this video with this particular content creator, although I don't think that you can specify which content creators can and can't do this. So I'm led to believe that anybody can do this with that album and they won't be demonetized or flagged in any kind of way. But what do you think about the fact that with this Clipse album, they didn't opt to levy any of those kinds of restrictions or demonetization measures when it comes to people using their album for their own content?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant marketing. I think it's great strategy. Honestly, I don't know why more artists or record companies are in favor of it. I can't listen and enjoy to a whole album through somebody's review, for instance, or somebody's reaction. Even if they play the whole song through and they do the whole album and they have a video for each one, and I technically heard the whole album, this guy's reacting and talking all over it. So at that point, I still can't enjoy it until I go listen to it myself. So in either context, so long as creators are being, they're editorializing the song, they're not just letting it ride out. I think they should be able to get monetized off it. Now, if some people try to skirt and circumvent the system and just play the whole album on their channel without really saying anything, at that point, they got AI bots that detect it in the first place. They can be able to detect if it's been editorialized. And if there's all of this other stuff on top of it, people talking all over it, pausing it, and all this other stuff, let those people rock out and get a check, because I'm tired of this jerk off over here pausing it every 10 seconds because it's a fire bar and he has to check. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So let that guy do that. Create a buzz behind it. Let that guy get 200,000 views. Let the next person get 300,000 views on this same song where they got to keep pausing it. That's people who are watching this that probably didn't even know Clipse came out, or who knows, man? Like, oh snap, I heard rumblings of this. I didn't know they actually dropped. And now they're watching the review and going, ooh, and pausing it just like everybody else. And so now he wants to go listen to it. So honestly, I just think it's great marketing. Um, I feel like more artists should push for this. I'm pretty sure this is one of those things where, like when you're installing a program and you just click yes to everything, and some of those check marks, you got to read some of those check marks. And so one of the check marks, I'm sure that these artists have the ability to say, hey, all right, man, we gave you the album here. You do it at what you want. There's probably an option for you to go, hey, I like how these other people did that. Blasey, please, let's share the revenue so we can get the word out more. I think that more artists should check that box or uncheck it or whatever the situation is. So yeah, man, I'm in favor of it. I don't hate it. I think that this would drive a lot more stuff. Also with movies too, man. Movies, everything is suffering right now when it comes to people actually buying into it. Maybe they'll buy into it if there was better forms of marketing where I can actually watch large chunks of it and go, you know what? I've seen enough of this. Let me go watch the movie for real. Everybody keep talking about this stuff. So let me go watch it. So I don't know what these companies are thinking about. They're being so greedy, they gnawing off their own hand. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Clipse? Not putting copyright infringements on creators or potentially creators for their latest album. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I think it's a sound strategy too, because I think in this day and age with the way people consume media, you kind of have to get out of the per unit business and you just got to play the numbers game. Because we've talked about this at various points throughout this channel. The way that money making in the music industry, in terms of the music itself, has been severely cannibalized. If you do just a simple, you know, Google search, and I just typed in how much do artists make per stream on Spotify, and I got a result that says Spotify typically pays artists between 0.003 and 0.005 per stream. That's like less than a cent. 0.003 of a dollar and 0.005 of a dollar is usually between the range that constitutes what artists typically make per stream on Spotify. I mean, you do the math on that. The only way that that's going to amount to anything of substance is if your streams are going crazy. And I think one of the better ways to make sure that your streams go crazy is to just allow people to create content off of it so that people can flock to a lot of those content creators platforms, hear what's going on, and then go sample the music for themselves on stream. Because the old way obviously does not work when we're talking about units and metrics, and the old model when it comes to record sales, it just no longer applies. And it's why a lot of these artists are diversifying their business portfolios to the degree that they do, much more so now compared to the way they did in previous generations, because the prospect of making money off of the music itself is no longer what it once was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got people like Snoop Dogg who have been in the game since the early 90s. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
Like he said that he only made $45,000 off of his music streaming 1 billion times, which to me seems like a crazy ratio. That off of 1 billion streams, your cut of that is only 45K. So obviously the vast majority of the eating off of the top is at the corporate level with the streaming companies themselves. But unless you don't work out the most incredible artist friendly deal ever created that God has ever known, I kind of feel like this is the right way to go about doing it, because at this point you got to play the numbers game. It's like being a single guy and going out to the club and just throwing caution to the wind. And instead of trying to fixate on one or two women that you're interested in, you play the numbers game and just talk to as many women as possible. Because the prospect of success has become so stratified that the only way that you can best ensure success for you is if you just play the numbers game and just ball out. So I kind of feel like this is the right way to go about doing it. The only question that I have is, and this is just me speaking anecdotally from my own personal sensibilities musically.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like the audience of Clipse is not the same as the audience who's going to be watching or listening to content creator reviews on YouTube
Agreed.
or Twitter.
More or less.
I feel like Clip's audience leans a little older, and I think those people, for the most part, still do things the old school way in terms of how they consume music. I
Mhm.
kind of feel like the content creator streamer route is more so to appeal to the younger generation. And I don't know how much of the younger generation is listening to Clipse. But outside of that, I kind of feel like this is the right way to go about doing it. I agree with you. Why press the issue on being greedy and trying to keep as much of it for yourself? There's not that much revenue when it comes to music to go around anyway. So
Right.
you might as well just skirt that, play the numbers game, and just bank on a content creator who has six-figure K followers reviewing your music, inviting that audience in, and then getting those people introduced to what you do so that maybe they can go to Spotify or YouTube or wherever they stream music, and then they'll play it. Because doing it the old school way just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I gave the album a listen, man. You know, I'll I'm not really a Clips guy. Boo. I know they're good.
There's
I
no you don't got I don't know that that's a boo worthy
That's a boo
comment to
worthy
make.
thing right there.
I don't think that's a hot take. I
Yeah,
don't think that's a hot take. It's not like you're saying, you don't. Now granted, I know that this is true, but it's not like you're saying I think Drake sucks. I feel like you're gonna get a whole bunch of people booing off of that.
nah, man. I don't. The people that say that when I say that about Drake, I don't care about that. But the people that I would say that would piss off in the hip hop community that are Clips fans, when I say that I'm not a fan of them, I'm pretty sure those are people's opinion that I do listen to.
Okay.
but here's the thing. I know they're good. I just don't listen to them. So I'll hear what they do. Me personally, I don't care for whenever I listen to you know, cocaina bars. I like mine's in the trap variety. I like a turn up trap situation. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't listen to music where they talk about that type of stuff, but the highbrow the highbrow cocaina bars. To me, it's like, come on, bro, what are you telling me? And so it's just too much for me. I get it. Uh, they're good. But it just never really, hit my ear. So when I was listening to the album, I was like, all right, let me. And it was to me, it started off very Clips typical to me, and I was like, here we go. But that latter half of that album, yeah, man, it's some songs on there, and they were snapping the whole way through, honestly.
Mhm.
So from the production to the bars, they did their thing on this. So yeah, I was ready. I was ready to throw it in the dumpster, man. But I was like, nah, man, these guys they held it down. So it's a good album. It's a good album if people want to listen to bars. They got that, and the production is solid too throughout. So the features that they got on there, everybody held it down.
Yeah.
So it's a solid piece of work. So if you believe in your product, yeah, man, put it out there and let people listen to it unadulteratedly. Let the content creators do their thing. Because I saw stuff floating around online, TikTok and stuff. People just listening to it. Maybe those people are getting paid too. Because some of these apps they'll block a sound.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are y'all doing? Do y'all not want money? So I really don't understand current marketing for these labels. To me, it makes no sense. I don't. They're pigeonholing everybody into to go into some weird section where they have to come to these streaming platforms to even listen to a snippet of it. But let the things rock out like in the old days, because I'm pretty sure, man. I mean, record numbers outside of, because who knows what the hell's going on with streaming? You broke down the streaming mechanism, so who knows what the hell an album sale is nowadays. But albums don't sell no more. I mean, nobody's listening to anything. So somebody having a 200K first week, that's notable stuff.
But I don't even know what 200K means though. Like I no longer know what that. Like I used to know. Okay, if like back in the 90s, early 2000s when they did those. Because I used to read this stuff. Because I used to find this stuff interesting.
Sound scans.
Yeah, like so it'd be like, oh, like Jay-Z, for example, Hard Knock Life went 5 times platinum. I knew that meant that there were literally 5 million physical copies of that album that were sold. Like I understood what that meant. If someone were to say to me today, such and such artist did 5 times platinum on their album, I wouldn't know what that meant because I don't know how to deduce the digital footprint. I just don't know how to calculate that in my mind. I'm pretty sure that there are analytic geniuses who work for these companies who could break it down, but I don't know what that means. And to me, sales, like you can't, back in the day, sales used to be a metric that you could use to argue on behalf of who you liked. You could be like, kind of like what we do in sports. That's why the LeBron fans get to do what they do, because they can just regurgitate stats. Like, back in the day, you used to say, oh, like Speaker Box to Love Below, that went diamond. Or I think Eminem, one of those things, Marshall Mathers LP, or I forget which one it was. One of Marshall Mathers or Eminem show, one of those went diamond. So and I know that means 10 million. So like if you were a fan of one of those artists, you could be like, bro, my artist outsells your artist. They did diamond. And everybody knew what that meant. That literally meant 10 million copies of that album were sold in some way, shape, or form physically. But now you can't really do that. I don't know what the worth of an album sale is today. So you like, I have just thrown that completely out of the equation.
Oh yeah,
so my thing now is just quality of music.
Well, yeah, but I agree. But this is what these labels, they're going off these metrics. They're going off these, and they created these metrics. And by the way, part of them creating these metrics, because they could have did it in an inflated way where they are selling as many records as they did back in the day, but they didn't want to set the algorithm that way. They set it in a way where the artists really have to hit this echelon in order to, because they would have to pay more money.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we just looked at your album and it's going crazy in the streets, it's all over every social media thing, everybody's always hearing it, and then all of a sudden the label turns around and says, yep, that's only worth 200,000 sales. And it's like, man, back in the day, if we heard that much viralness going on about this song, that song itself went platinum. What do you mean? What do you mean they only sold, whatever? So yeah, they're running games on that too, but it's still a situation where, these labels really need to reformat how they do stuff. There's a part of me that feels like they don't even care, but they really need to restructure how they do their stuff when it comes to letting creators do their thing, because that album, hypothetically, that sold 200,000 nowadays, if you let people do what they do with it in the content space, that 200 something thousand would actually be worth like, $500,000 or whatever. And that was my point. Whatever they're basing their metrics on, who knows? It'll go even further if you let people just listen to it. So
the copyright protection thing in this day and age, it's tantamount to burning CDs back in the day. Like back in the day, there was a way to get music for free via burn it. You could burn it. Like I remember when home computers and PCs came with a disc burner, that was revolutionary, because then at that point, if you were a seasoned pirater such as myself, you could hop on a Napster, Morpheus, Kazaa, LimeWire, and you could make sure that you were downloading the pristine version of every album cut, and then just put it onto a disc and burn it off, and that was the album right there. But that was pretty much the only way that you could get it outside of buying the physical version. So back then, copyright protection to me made sense because there was really only one avenue that you had to kind of look out for, which was like the burning CD market. Now people just, I don't need to even be on Spotify. I don't need to be paying for a streaming service to get music. I can listen to the whole thing on YouTube if I want. Like no most albums, like most songs that I look for, now there are some exceptions, but if I wanted to listen to something for free, I could just hop on YouTube. Now, if I'm not paying for YouTube Premium, I'm gonna have to deal with ads. But my point is, there's so many different ways to just be able to kind of get the musical experience
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of feel like you're shooting your kneecaps off by copyright protecting your content from content creators, because kind of what you need to do at this point is adopt the idea that if you can't beat them, join them, and just understand we have to kind of open the floodgates on this stuff because we can't depend on the individual metric of the sale anymore. We have to depend on the groundswell of virility, and we have to depend on people in mass experiencing and listening to it and talking about it and posting about it. And I feel like the best way to make that happen is just let the content creators do what they do. So it is what it is, man. You know, it's a double-edged sword, but if you're in the music game, you kind of don't have a choice. Otherwise, I don't really know how you're making money off of the music itself, because I just don't see where the money's being made. I feel like the money is being made in you know, touring and doing live shows, doing concert venues. Like live performances to me is how a lot of artists are making their money, whether they're big, small, medium size, whatever the capacity of live performing that they're doing, that's where
Mm-hmm.
they're making the money. But of course, in order to do that, you have to make the music first. So it's almost like making the music is just kind of like the thing that you have to do in order to start making money off of music. Whereas I feel like before you could theoretically make music and make money off the music, but times are different. So I kind of feel like this is the right approach, and more of these artists should follow suit, especially for a lot of these artists who are otherwise not very good and are uninteresting. What are you gonna do? Like, I'm not going to, you better hope I happen upon. You better hope the algorithm for whatever reason sends me a content creator who's reviewing your stuff, and I tap on it by accident, and maybe I hear a couple things that I might like, and now I'm on my way to Spotify to hear more. Because if you aren't really that interesting or good to me, I'm not paying you no attention on Spotify or wherever anyway.
Yeah, man,
So
facts, bro. So, but yeah, last thing I'll say as far as the record labels, and this whole streaming thing, you know, streaming, because as you mentioned, bro, people had physical copies back in the day of whether it was the actual one or if it was some bootleg, but people actually had ownership back in the day, and nowadays, bro, you don't own anything. People used to have a DVD collection. You remember that? You know what
yeah,
I'm
I
saying?
do.
People had whole folders and books of movies. Some of them bootleg, but they had physical copies, and there's a sense of ownership in that, in this weird, twisted world that we live in right now. But then once these streaming platforms got into play, the whole finesse of you not owning anything anymore. It really, to me, it does a number on the brain. People like to talk about how what's the effect of watching certain kind of content, or doing certain kinds of things, like what it does, and as far as wiring your brain. Well, one thing about not having ownership of your leisure, it's one of those things that I feel as though it's not enough studies done on that to see what the overall ramifications of that could potentially be. Because um man, you don't even own your own art. If the internet goes out, the music that I've been listening to for the last 15 20 years, I mean, I don't have any of it. It's absolutely gone. And so hey man, at least back in the day you could listen to a CD or a record. So, but yeah, man, these record labels, it's a sense of control, and it's like some type of control thing that they have on consumers. So people keep subscribing, and they make more money off subscriptions than they make off music. So I don't know, man. I don't care for none of this. I want to go back to the days of ownership. Of course, that won't be a thing.
No,
So people just gonna have to, get with this, and that's what I'm saying. I don't really think it's in. We'll see if this progresses anymore, because I guess you could say that this what Clips is doing would be considered a trend. More artists are going to do it. Once they see the numbers on the back end of this, but it's some part of me that really feels as though they don't give a damn. Part of their control and ownership is controlling whether or not people can share it online. So I don't see them coming off of that. What are you gonna say?
no, I was just gonna say I definitely know. I'm fairly certain they don't care. I think how much money the album itself makes is more of an icing on the cake type thing than like a
Mm-hmm.
main priority.
Mm-hmm.
They've been performing they performed at the ESPYs, I think, and I think they performed on one of those late night shows. I
Mm-hmm.
forget which one specifically. So they've already been performing songs off of this album live. That's where it's like I said, you have to make the music first, and then the ends that come from the music lie in performing it live, because the music itself doesn't really, hit the money making metric the way that it used to. So I don't even think that they're factoring in the actual valuation of the music itself into their equation. I think they're just looking at it from the standpoint of they wanted to do it first and foremost. They had a passion for wanting to put the project together, which is the most important thing. They put it out, and now they're going to, do whatever else comes along with it. I'm pretty sure they're not thinking about any of that. I don't think they care either.
Sad, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the way it works, bro. I mean, album sales does not like I said, I don't even understand what the concept of album sales even means anymore. I really don't. So and I really do think that younger art, because man, I can imagine it is very difficult to cut. It can be easy and difficult to cut through in music, because there's so many different ways you can just upload music. You can be self-promoted. So in terms of the technical ease of access, that part may be a little easier, but in terms of cutting through and being interesting and actually garnering an audience, I feel like that's become harder because the market is so oversaturated. And with everybody trying to control everything, there's less money to be made for sure. So I really do feel like the best bet is for you to just limit all of that copyright protected demonetization stuff and just let people experience the music.
Yeah, agreed, man. And that's cross platforms, man. It ain't just music.
Yeah.
It's sports,
Yeah. For
it's
real.
movies. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Like lighten up, y'all. Damn.
Yeah. Everything is so stratified, bro. It's hard. So yeah. Shouts out to the Clips, man. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I only started listening to the Clips many years later, somewhat out of desperation, because I didn't have music to listen to.
Yeah, music
Because
you trash, bro.
I don't like the new stuff. I don't like most new artists. So everything that I listen to is people 35, 40 plus. And so because there was a dearth of music for me to listen to, I started going back in time to listen to artists from that era that I didn't already listen to. And
Mhm.
so that's when I started listening to the Clips recently. But I always been a Pusha T fan as like a solo artist. Always
Yeah.
been a Pusha.
Yeah. Y'all got it, man. So y'all got it. They were snapping on there, man. But yeah, I've always respected them. They just didn't make music that was. And there's a lot of artists like that where I
Yeah.
go, I respect what you do, bro, but I ain't gonna listen to it.
Yeah. I mean,
You
I
know.
feel like that about Cole. J. Cole got a lot of real strong fans, and I respect the hell out of his ability. But when it comes to J. Cole releasing music, I think like I listened to J. Cole's projects a max of like 5 times. And then after that, I'm over it. And the main reason why is because sonically, I just don't be liking how it sounds.
Yeah, man. Y'all
But I
got it.
recognize the ability, and I recognize his talent, and I respect his work ethic. but the way that he does things sonically, I listen to other people before him.
Yeah, man. Normalize having what a nuanced take on an artist. Like, damn, bro. Like, I ain't gotta be some glazer in order to appreciate these guys. They're good, damn it. But the album's good. They did their thing on that. It's a solid piece of work. So shout out to them for that.
Yeah. All right, next up we have somewhat of a newcomer to the channel, French Montana, but it was comments made by Paul Pierce that got us talking about this. Paul Pierce, an undeniable friend of the channel. Paul Pierce has his The Truth After Dark podcast, and on Paul Pierce's podcast, they get into adult-oriented conversations. They talk a lot about relationships and marriage and whatnot. And on a recent episode, they got onto the subject talking about French Montana. So French Montana apparently is dating a Dubai princess who goes by the name of what is her name? Shika Mara. Shika Mara or Shika Mara. Also known as Tiana. I don't know why there's a second name there. But apparently, so French Montana is dating this Dubai princess. Okay. Paul Pierce and his co-host were talking on his show about the situation, and Paul Pierce and the co-host got into a bit of a back and forth because Paul Pierce used French Montana as an example of why men, specifically black men, should more strongly consider women overseas. And his belief in saying that in only the way that Paul Pierce can say such a thing is that women overseas value their men more or better. Or Paul Pierce says that women overseas value their men more than women stateside. And so the co-host obviously took exception to that. So we'll get into this. This says Paul Pierce on French Montana reportedly dating Dubai princess. They value their men. Paul Pierce found himself at odds with his podcast co-host after weighing in on French Montana's alleged relationship with the princess of Dubai. On a recent episode of the Truth After Dark podcast, Pierce shared his thoughts on the rapper's alleged relationship with Dubai royalty Shika Mara, also known as Tiana. The conversation began near the 22-minute mark in the video linked here when co-host Azar Faraday talked about the relationship, saying he's dating the princess of Dubai. She's cracking. He's publicly out with her. They're like an official couple online, everything. So he said, yeah, I'm out here. I'm out the country. So there's a lot of quotes in the rest of the article. Y'all know how I feel about reading these quotes. I'd rather just play the video. So the article at the very end goes on to say, French Montana 40 and 31-year-old Dubai princess Shika Mara bint Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, I guess that's her full name, were recently photographed together following a Paris Fashion Week event earlier this month. So there are some photos of the two of them. So that's that. They were first spotted together when Mara gave Montana a tour of Dubai, which included dining at popular restaurants, riding camels, and hanging out with friends. This took place months after announcing her divorce, during which she appeared to suggest her ex-husband had been unfaithful. Mara is the daughter of United Arab Emirates Prime Minister and Dubai ruler Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. So here's the exchange between Paul Pierce and the co-host talking about this. Now the video is a little choppy, but you get the point.
Paul Pierce. That's 3
French
weeks.
Montana. He's dating the princess of Dubai. She's cracking. He's publicly out with her. They're like official couple online, everything. So he said, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm out the country with it. The princess of Dubai. She's gorgeous. She looks like.
How does she become the princess?
I have no idea. She obviously is the
daughter of a queen.
Yeah, or a king.
Jeez, that's major.
So he's out and about with her, living their best life. She's like this blonde situation. She's
some
like white. She's appreciation night. Some out.
Man, I'm telling
out the country.
Us black men, I'm telling y'all, we need to follow in French Montana steps. You see, he cracking.
He's cracking.
He's like, man, I'm out here with these. No, I'm good.
Don't listen to Paul. There's women in the States that are cool and a vibe.
Nah, it ain't. The States women, they don't have the same values as these women overseas. They value they men. They priorities they men first. They not shaking ass on Instagram every
Not
day.
every woman is doing that, Paul.
That's American women. That's the majority.
No, not every woman is doing that though. I'm not doing that. So
there's more women in America doing that than out the country.
I can agree, but they're out the country. Women are getting paid $25 to have sex with anybody. Colombia, go there, Brazil. So please kill it because I know. And y'all want to glorify these out the country women. These out the country women, you give them $30 and they're sucking you and all your homeboys' dicks in one night. So stop trying to glorify that. I'm sick of it. Anyways,
I mean, only difference between there and here is the price is up over here.
Yeah, well, don't try to say their values are so different than not shaking ass. No, they are. They're doing it, they are, and they're getting shitted on, shaking ass, and all type of stuff. Yeah. So don't try it.
Man, I ain't trying nothing, but I'm just saying, like right now, if you ain't taking the girl shopping, if you ain't got no bread, if you it's almost impossible to get a girl out here. If you ain't doing that, like you go overseas, you can get a broke nigga, right? Go overseas, he got a couple hundred.
He can get her because he got a couple.
He gonna feel appreciated. American women values, or us as American people values as a black man here. Why would I want to pursue an American woman who thinks that if I'm not on the internet shaking ass or showing my body off, that I'm not cracking? Because that's what the majority think, and that's what the majority do to just feel appreciated. Like, how do I even have a relationship when I'm dating a girl and she on the internet thing turning around?
You love to do the turning around,
doing all this, but then the day she get mad at me when every day somebody flooding her comments, complimenting her like, "Oh, you look so good, baby." Like, how do I compete with that in a relationship when you getting all these compliments on the day? How do I compete?
You know what
I can't give you enough compliments throughout the day that's gonna compete with what you gonna get on the internet.
All right, so the video was a little choppy, but the audio certainly wasn't. So y'all got the picture there of what they was talking about. So what did you make of that exchange? Are you buying what Paul Pierce is selling here?
Yeah, man, first of all, what I make of it is it was absolutely hilarious. Shout out to Paul Pierce, man. He's definitely somebody I would have a drink with. He is a hilarious human being. Does he have a point? Yeah, he has a valid point in the sense that westernization is a hell of a drug. And so there's a lot of that going on here. But his explanation, it was pretty much on the surface level in the sense that he was like, just take a regular dude over there, with a couple $100, and then he'll be whatever. And basically he, I get what he was saying, but him just leaving it like that, it's a sense of, well, that's just relative situation stuff. Just having enough money because you have a couple $100 in a country where your money going longer, but the conversation of having an actual culture that isn't consumerism, that conversation needs to be had more. Now, Paul Pierce was going at it, guns blazing. All right. And he was speaking on it in a sense where, he's saying a lot of, buzzwords and a lot of hot things there. But in actuality, the corporatized United States has created a culture of consumerism that both men and women are victims of. And they're so entrenched in it that they don't even see it when they're doing it on a daily basis. So those countries that actually have prioritized culture for the most part, there's still a lot of traditions that go on and gender roles that are in place. So even if they do have westernized tendencies to have access to westernized media, there's still an undercurrent of culture that's been there for a long time and is for the most part stronger than that of the United States now. Um, so his conversation, it is a valid point if you break it down, that both men and women need to get out of their westernized psychosis and look at life a lot more holistically. So I think that both sides of the fence need to open themselves up and realize where they're going wrong in terms of gender roles, their priorities in life, and at that point, maybe Paul Pierce wouldn't be falling on deaf ears or irritating people, because I actually think he has a valid point when you dig a little deeper. But what are your thoughts, man, on Paul Pierce just, I guess, laying down the gospel, at least according to me? What are your thoughts, bro?
I think that they are both right, which is, I think they're both right. Like you, I think Paul Pierce does have a point. You kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I think where Paul Pierce has a point, and he didn't articulate it in this way, but this is what he meant. American consumerism has fundamentally altered the priorities and the preferences and the value sets of people here in the United States. American consumerism has fundamentally altered people's priority sets, and that it's consumerism that largely informs people on how they go about dealing with things such as relationships, marriage, and family. So logically, it stands to reason that if you remove yourself from that environment and you go to a different location where American consumerism as a culture isn't reigning supreme, you will run into more people who aren't consumed by it and don't use it as the baseline by which to prioritize how they go about dealing with concepts like marriage and family and relationships. So from that standpoint, he does have a point. Logically, that is true. However, what his co-host there said is also true, that not all women are on that.
Of course.
So what I think guys like Paul Pierce fail to understand is that they can change their reality. Like, we as men have the power to change a lot of this. We just refuse to do so. And I think our refusal to do so has a lot to do with the fact that, to your point, it's not just women who have bought into consumerism as a culture. Men buy into the same thing. But I think because the burden of proof is upon us to manifest a lot of these cultural aspects, I think we bear the greatest amount of responsibility, because we are essentially training women to acquiesce to consumerism as a way to prioritize how they deal with this stuff. So, to Paul Pierce's co-host's point, not all women are on that. And what Paul Pierce and many, I would say most men today fail to understand is it isn't all American women who are doing this. It's just the women y'all are talking to that are doing this.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the whole thing about it is, if you don't try to deal with those women, you might get a different outcome. But where the consumerism aspect of it has come in is we've consumed so much media and messaging that we have allowed the immaculate inception to take place, which suggests to us that whatever that archetype of a woman is, that traffics in that kind of value set and sensibility, we have been brainwashed to believe that woman is also the woman that is the most desirable.
Agreed.
So because we believe that woman is the most desirable, that's the woman that we're going to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up fulfilling that prophecy because those women are on that weirdo timeline of consumerism. But because you believe that that kind of woman is the most desirable, you'll just move on to the next. And the next one will do the same thing. And then you'll go to the next one. And the next one will do the same thing. And then you'll go on to the next one. And the next one will do the same thing. So once again, my central theme of personal accountability strikes once again. Like, women do the same thing. There's a certain archetype or profile of a man that they have been MK Ultra'd into believing is desirable.
Hey.
So they offer themselves to that kind of guy because they truly believe that's what a desirable man looks like, talks like, acts like, dresses like. And when their own brand of a philosophy gets fulfilled because they get the same experience over and over again, they can't get out of their own way, and they continue to indulge in their own brand of insanity by doing the same thing over and over again. So we're all doing the same insane thing. And this is an American problem. It's not that's why I never really got into the race angle of this. There's this idea floating around that, in the Black community, we're dealing with this the most because it's our women who are becoming the least submissive. It's our women who are becoming the least feminine. It's our women who want to wear the pants. It's our women who want to buck traditionalism and blah, 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 blah. No, that's not true. Every community is dealing with the same thing. Everybody's dealing with the same thing. It ain't just Black women, it's everybody. It's these. There's a lot of guys out there from different communities complaining about the same thing.
Correct.
The only difference between, I would say, Black folks in this country and perhaps other communities is statistically, when you're dealing with a smaller sample size, certain things become more pronounced. So maybe because we have a smaller sample size, a lot of these observations are a bit more pronounced because, we're being far outpaced in terms of population size by, of course, white people, but also Hispanic people. So even though they're complaining about the same things, because their numbers are greater, these various observations are a bit less pronounced. Whereas for us, because we're being far outpaced population-wise, our numbers are lower, so a lot of these things are a bit more pronounced. But if you remove that from the conversation and just talk strictly about what's happening across this country, everybody's dealing with this. And if you go overseas, you might run into it less because, as you intimated, cultural values might be more of a mainstay in other places where westernized consumerism hasn't completely grappled the psyche of the majority of the people living there. But that doesn't mean that where you reside, it doesn't mean that where you are, you just have to completely give up hope because all the women are on the same thing. It's like, no, they're not. You just don't know how to identify the women who aren't on it, because the women who are on it, you've been brainwashed into believing are the most desirable women. So when these guys hop overseas, what they're really trying to do is find women who look like that, but aren't on that timeline. And they're doing the conversation a bit of a disservice by blanketly stating all women are on the same timeline in the United States, when that's not really true. You just want a certain type of look and appeal, body type, whatever the case may be. And if you can't find that in the kind of value package that you seek, maybe you can try and find the same type of package, but with different value sets in other places. But what they're looking for is the same kind of look. And I mean, look at this chick. I mean, I don't know her from a can of paint, but you saw the screen share that I had up there. That girl looks like one of those girls over here in this country.
Yeah, she's like a Kardashian.
Yeah, exactly. So what Paul Pierce is really saying is we want to get a baddie with a good head on her shoulders. and what I think,
who's mad at that?
Nobody. How can you be mad at that? Of course. But I think you need to accurately qualify what you're saying. It's not all women. It's not all American women. It's just you want to get those same women. You want to get the same girls who are popping online, but maybe they're wholesome because they grew up in another country and so they don't move the same way. But looks wise, that you're going after the same exact thing. And that's what he's talking about. So I think both of them have a point and they're both right. But of course, I believe that Paul Pierce, as a man, bears the greatest level of responsibility for being accountable for the words that he uses and understanding the role that he plays within this ecosystem, because men largely are mostly responsible for essentially training women on being beholden to American consumerism. If you don't provide it, then they won't come to accept it as a natural part of their reality. But at this point, we spent so many decades training them on this that they don't know any better. So whose fault is that? Them or ours?
Mm-hmm. And I see your point, is because I agree with her too, in the sense that, of course, it's not all women, but she was making Paul Pierce's point though, in the sense that's why I was saying, like, while she's sitting there, yelling, I'm like, girl, your tatas is out. You're doing it. You're doing exactly what he's talking about. And because if you got a man at the house, which I don't know if she does or not, but and you decided to wear that, there was nothing really wrong with what she was wearing if she had a blouse on underneath it. But that cleavage was showing, matching bra. I didn't know if there was going to be a nip slip or not. So I had to monitor the screen just to make sure we didn't violate policy. But it's so close, you know what I'm saying? Because she's basically just wearing a bra on camera. And that's his point, to the sense that, look, you can be as sophisticated as you want. You can sit here and articulate yourself all you want. But you right now are advertising the goods online. And what he's saying is that these people over here don't live like that. And so yeah, she does have a point, but she was doing what Paul Pierce was mentioning.
Well, he knows that he knows that his co-host is the very same type of woman that he was complaining about.
Absolutely.
He's very well, and I've seen a couple of episodes here and there of their show. She knows that she's on that same timeline too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she knows what timeline she's on. So, like, yeah, I just kind of feel like when she's saying not all women are like that, she's right purely in that what she's saying is a factual statement. But of course, taking the messenger into account, she is 100% one of those chicks who is on that same thing.
Yeah, and to speak to the delusion of it all, there's a lot of people that Paul Pierce lumped into that category that would deny, get mad at him for saying what he was saying, but doing exactly what he's talking about. And there'd be girls that they don't even got a lot of subscribers. They still turning around in the mirror in every picture or booty dancing or whatever, and you look at her subscriber count. This isn't like an economy for her. This is just her regular page. And she living like this, posing like she a baddie or whatever, and no, it's not crazy hordes of people, but it's dudes she work with. It's this and this and that. That's all friends and stuff like that. So they're seeing these things, they're commenting, they're liking, and that's creating an issue. So they don't even have to be these top tier slores that Paul Pierce or anybody in his cohort deals with. Not saying that's what you were saying exactly, but it goes across the board. This happens from on high all the way down. And it's because the inception has been performed on the people that live over here. And which is spreading, by the way, across the world because of all of these social media platforms. And now other people, to feel as though they're part of what's going on, they got to do what the Americans are doing, which honestly is degeneracy and debauchery. And so some people are abandoning their entire cultural ways of living to live like an American goofy. It's very sad business. And so, yeah, there is a point to guys wanting to leave, all the whole passport stuff. There is a point to that if you're doing it with the intent of actually finding a wife, getting involved in the culture that you're moving into. All right. Not tooting your nose up when they offer you a pig with an apple in its mouth. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's cultural, man. You the husband, right? You better eat this. Well, I don't eat swine. You can't say that in these people country, or you know what I'm saying? So wherever you're going, respect whatever they got going on. I'm a pescatarian. I I don't eat. Man, you better take your American ass somewhere else then, and respect these people culture and get down on that damn pig. So you gotta respect where you're going, and not just do it for your own consumeristic reasons. Because if you just going over there and taking that spirit that you're claiming that you're getting away from to go do it over there, you haven't learned your lesson.
And most of them aren't, bro. Like
Exactly.
if we just keeping it real, all these guys want to do is be able to. Let's just keep it.
Yeah. You know what they're doing.
Let's just keep it a buck, bro. And this is what annoys me with these co-opters. Like, it's the same thing with polyamorous people. It's the same thing with Neil calling himself polyamorous when he's really just a harem king. Mm-hmm. Like, these guys just want to smash bad chicks for free. Like, that's all they're trying to do. So what she's saying is on the money. Like, that's why I said both of them are right. Like, both. Mm-hmm. I don't think either one of them fundamentally said anything inaccurate. Mm-hmm. I think they were both just arguing from their perspectives, but both of them made valid points, because all passport bros are doing is going to Colombia. Or,
you know what they're doing.
They're going to Colombia. They're going to Dominican Republic. They're going to all of these places where the value of their dollar stretches. Mm-hmm. And they're going to pull off the same shenanigans that they like to pull off here, but they simply can't because they are being financed out of the equation.
Yes, agreed.
So from that standpoint, why are we even bothering talking about finding a girl or finding a wife? That's not what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So stop invoking that in the conversation, because you're confusing it for people who are looking for clarity.
No, yeah, 100%, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're confusing the conversation for people looking for clarity. That's why I caution so many people about consuming so much of this stuff on YouTube, these relationship podcasts. You really got to vet the messenger, because all these guys are trying to do is get a bad chick for free. That's what they're trying to do. If they could do the same, if they could do here what they wanted to do, they wouldn't be going overseas. So it has nothing to do with culture, and it has everything to do with carnal lust.
Yes,
and being able to want to exercise all of their carnal proclivities on a fair budget. That's what they want to do.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. 100%. Because you can't do it here. It's too expensive.
Exactly.
Because over here in the States, those women cost a lot of money.
Yep.
See, real women don't cost as much, but you want to get those women who are a bit expensive. Can't get it here, so you go overseas where the value of the dollar is a little higher, and you get the same kind of girl from a looks, profile, physical standpoint, and you can ball out that way. Mm-hmm. But it has nothing to do with culture, community, wife, family. It don't have nothing to do with none of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's just a bit aggravating sometimes to hear these guys talk like this. And, I got respect for Paul Pierce and what he's trying to do, but, this was yet another example. It's like, bro, you talking like a guy who's looking for something stable and a commitment. And I don't believe that's really what Paul Pierce is after. What I believe Paul Pierce is after is what we see him doing in those videos that got him fired from ESPN. and he wants to do it, and he wants to be able to do it on a more cost-effective dime.
Yeah, and also he wants to do it with no scruples. So if there's a situation where Paul Pierce can just, because he's not going to be faithful, so he's more of a what do you call it, neo person, and he wants to be able to have his cake and eat it too, because he can afford to, and he can do his thing, and he would want a stable situation, but he would also want to dabble. And what at least for people like Paul Pierce, he also runs into the issue of dealing with these women that he pays for. Because if you just had a cohort of girls, you know what I'm saying, even if you were, whatever, you would still have to pay for their lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So, he's still missing the equation there. But if it was more of a situation of a regular type of thing where he just can have his woman and still do whatever he does, he would do that. Because I saw another clip of him mentioning that a woman would leave a husband because they don't do X, Y, and Z no more. So she wanted to go out there in the street, and the guy in the street doesn't do X, Y, Z at all. And he's just coming over there and, dropping it off and leaving. And he said, you know, why would you leave your man? Because, you know, why would you leave a solid situation? A man would still want to do X, Y, and Z. This was his logic. A man would still want to do X, Y, and Z, but still come home to his woman. You know, so he lives in a world where it's like, hey, I want a stable house, but I also want to do my own thing. You know, but he thinks that, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not, you know, connecting dots here, but him getting at the fact that westernization is a problem here. He can't do that. You know, their values as women are different. They look at men different. And some cultures, bro, it's not just, it's what it is. It's what it is. Right or wrong, people. Right or wrong, it's what it is over there. And you know, whatever. And the woman still stays the wife and all this other stuff. But you know, living in the Victorian age here in the United States, where love is, air quote, love is king, but it's really infatuation and other things, how much you can support me financially, it's a big mess. So, you know, there is no culture to tie people down and say, well, I'm not leaving my husband for, you know, whatever reason because he did X, Y, and Z, you know. And on top of that, he ain't got to buy me no Birkin bag. But nowadays, with buying Birkin bags and doing all this other stuff, it's not only expensive, but they also give you a hard time. So I hear his point, you know, but you know, the issue here to me is, as I mentioned, consumerism, commercialization, and people prioritizing finances as happiness. And so long as that's what's going on in people's lives, man, they're constantly going to be in this state where they're never happy. So, you know, it is what it is, man. But I agree with you, man. I feel like they both make valid points, but you know, she need to button up that shirt. I'll say that.
I mean, you know, the couple times that I've seen them, she said things that lead me to believe that she's
For the streets.
pretty solid. No, the opposite. Like
Okay.
she said certain things that, you know, one would surmise based upon her saying those things that she's one of the women who are the opposite of what Paul Pierce is talking about. But then again, there have been other episodes where she kind of looks like she falls in line.
Yeah, she's a chameleon, man. You know, you can't trust them, man, because that's the ones that get you. So
I mean, we're just this stuff is just, you know, I kind of feel like people just need to, you know, there's legitimate conversation on both sides, men and women, about difficulties because of what people are experiencing. And to the people who are grounded and know what it is that they're trying to do, and they're speaking on these things, they deserve, you know, respect when it comes to the conversation, because they're not out here, you know, posing from a certain, like they're not out here doing what I think Pierce is doing in that instant, which is posing as a guy who's like dutiful and looking to be in a traditional nuclear setup, when really I kind of think like what I kind of feel like what these guys want to do is bust nuts with baddies on a cheap dime. That's kind of what I feel like they're looking for.
Hey, man,
you know,
American dream, dog.
which personally I don't have a problem with, but I just kind of feel like you should just say that.
Yeah, and don't have no shame in it, bro. Yeah. But you know, America's also the land of delusion. So both men and women, everybody caps, bro. So you know, you trying to be upfront, frank with people, you know, they're gonna go left. So it is what it is.
Hey, once again, shouts out to Paul Pierce. Shouts out to, what's her name, Azar Faride.
Me and Paul Pierce are good friends now, man. So you know what I'm saying? That's my dog right now, man. Shout out to Paul Pierce. Oh, brother.
All right, next up we have a bit of an unfortunate story that went way viral. You know, further loosening my faith in humanity. You know, there was this story involving a USPS driver. I believe she's in California. I believe. I could be wrong about that. I don't know why I'm saying California. I want to say California, but I'm not exactly sure where this is located. But the reason why this went viral is because this woman she's a mail carrier for the United States Postal Service. She was doing her job. It was extremely hot outside. She had ran out of her water supply, and she made a delivery to a Starbucks. And when she walked into Starbucks, she asked for a cup of ice water to try and cool herself off. Starbucks denied her a cup of water. Basically saying, you got to pay for something if you want to get a cup of water. And so, so she got on her TikTok to post a very brief video about how this happened. And it got a lot of people up in arms talking about, Starbucks and corporate greed and basic decency, and why did they have to deny her a cup of water and all of that kind of stuff. So this says USPS mail carrier says she was denied free water at Starbucks during heat wave. I am human. A TikTok video from a U.S. postal worker has gone viral after she said that a Starbucks employee denied her a free cup of ice water while she was working in extreme heat. In the video, which has since been watched over 1.8 million times on TikTok, the woman wrote, "Imagine working out of a tin can in 100-degree heat, trying to stay alive and walking into Starbucks for a cup of ice water, and they tell you no." The postal worker, who uses the handle at melanin low aesthetics, later shared a follow-up video explaining more details about the incident. It was really hot outside and I was delivering a package to Starbucks. I had already finished the water that I pack every day in my cooler. So I'm in there, I'm delivering the package, and I'm just like, "Hey, can I have a small cup of ice water?" She tells me after I buy something first, she can give me the water, but she can't just give me the water. She continued, and I just wanted to say I'm not here complaining. I don't feel entitled to anything. I bought a bottle of water, but again, I am human. I show up every day in extreme heat in my uniform in a truck with no AC. I love my job. I love my customers, and I love my route, but that doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. The woman explains she typically brings cold water in a cooler, but she happened to run out that day. To everyone who's saying, "Well, come prepared, bring your own water, nobody owes you anything," I come prepared every day. I always do, but some days I run out. That doesn't make me irresponsible. It makes me human, but it's not even about the free water. It's about just basic human kindness. That's all. I'm just asked to be seen like as a human being. I'm not complaining. I'm sharing. And if one video about me asking for a cup of water bothers you that much, you should really ask yourself why. Last month, a long-time mail carrier in Dallas died on his route in 90-degree temperatures. Another postal worker, 51-year-old Wednesday Johnson, died in North Carolina last June after collapsing delivering mail in a hot USPS truck with no air conditioning. Starbucks reversed its open door policy earlier this year and now requires customers to make a purchase to receive free water or use the restroom. J.C. Anderson, a spokesperson for the Starbucks, confirmed to the Atlanta Black Star that all customers who make a purchase while visiting our stores can enjoy complimentary water during their visit. She added that employees are trained to respond with empathy and kindness, particularly in the event the circumstance calls for it, either due to extreme weather, medical emergency, or extenuating factors. The woman behind the TikTok videos did not specify which Starbucks location denied her the ice water. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and start because I want to find out where this was. But what do you think about this situation and this USPS driver who was denied ice water in 100-degree heat?
It's unfortunate, man. I feel her on that. I would have been frustrated as well. But at the end of the day, man, policy is policy. Hey, bro, if I was a barista and she walked in there, sweating and just asking for free water, I would have immediately reverted back to my training and said, "Look, man, you would have to make a purchase in order for me to give you some water. Would you like to buy a bottle of water?" And I would have did my. You know why? Because I'm not trying to get written up. I'm trying not to get fired. And if it's a situation where people are running the cameras back because, you know, Susan over there making the matcha saw me over here handing over a cup of ice water to this public servant. Now, even though the USPS is a private institution and not a part of the United States government, they are still looked at as a milkman in the 21st century. So it's one of those situations, man, where you would like to look out for her. If I was up behind the counter, I'd be like, "Hey, look, man, you know, I can't do that. Susan wrote me up. Susan snitched on me last week. Like, I can't give this to you right now. You know, would you like to make a purchase? You know." So I get why they said no, and it's unfortunate, but rules are rules, and these companies got weird rules because they don't care about the people. You know, especially for large chains like this where they just already know customers are going to come back. They already have a built-in algorithm of annual people who come to purchase stuff. So they're sitting in this position of, we don't really care if we change these rules. We're just going to change them. So yeah, it sucks, man. I remember when you know, I was a driver, bro, and I was you know, driving cabs and stuff. If I pulled over anywhere in that box Ford, if I pulled up in that thing, I got treated with complimentary service. If I went to a restaurant, you know what I'm saying, just to use the bathroom, you know, I go in a restaurant, like it was like, oh, you see, just for one, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta use the bathroom, bro. And they're like, oh yeah, and they'll just let me use it. You know, when I come out, it's like, hey man, you want something to drink? Yeah, I would love one, thanks. A lemonade, please. You know, or if I go to a hotel, you know, everybody treat me with love, and people will offer me things because I'm out. So I'm pretty sure there's other places in context where this young lady has been out here working and in the field, and somebody say, "Hey, the mail lady's out there. Let me give her a couple, you know, a bottle of water, or you know." So I guess she just assumed like, "Hey, man, y'all know I'm out here grinding. I come to the store all the time. I'm thirsty today. You know, I get a cup of water. You know." So I get her frustration, but unfortunately, the world doesn't operate on what some may feel as though is the moral thing. It's operating on bottom line. And us handing out them free ass cups ain't paying nobody. But what are your thoughts, man, on sister girl here getting denied a glass of water on a hot ass day? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I can't find a location. I've looked
I'll
at
try to pull
several
it.
articles and it doesn't really specify where this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, it's shame on Starbucks, but yeah, I'm not surprised because the paying customer, um, you know, is heavily deprioritized when it comes to whether one is spending money or not. If it were me, I would have gave her the water, but I have been known in my various stops in the past to buck a few rules here and there. But I hear where you're coming from though. As someone who worked in food service for over 10 years, um, whether it's a restaurant or a la carte or a place like Starbucks or anything like that, they definitely have policies on these types of situations, and violation of those policies do come with consequences. Now you'll have a handful of employees such as myself who will say, I don't care what the policy is. I'm just going to do what I think is the right thing to do. And I'll just accept what comes along with that, a write up, or get sent home, suspension, whatever. But I do think the vast majority of employees are conditioned to fall in line with company policy. And if management is like, yo, if you give out free water, you know, there could be consequences for that. I think most employees are going to not give out the free water because they don't have to suffer the consequences. So for me, it's more so the fact that that's even a policy to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, I'm not surprised. You know, these companies aren't making the same kind of money that they've always made. Times are not as fruitful as they once were. The purchasing power of the individual consumer is significantly less today than I would say it was 10, 15, or even 20 years ago, especially when you adjust people's incomes for inflation. I think at the top, people have more money than ever. But I think in the middle and at the bottom, people have less money than ever.
Mhm.
And so, since the people in the middle and towards the bottom retain the majority, that's the majority of the population. The majority of the population has less discretionary income to go around, which means there's less discretionary income to go around in terms of having a budget for Starbucks every day or every week. So these companies aren't making what they once made. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I certainly have. When you go into a lot of food and beverage establishments nowadays, there just seems to always be a shortage of labor. It always feels like there's not enough people on the clock. It always feels like there's not enough people in there to help with service. It always seems like there's not enough waiters on staff or servers. It always seems like the plate, and I noticed these things because I worked in a restaurant for as long as I did, so I kind of can pinpoint it when I see it. But I always notice, for the most part, unless it's a high volume day like a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Sunday morning, there's whole entire sections of restaurants that aren't being serviced that aren't being used in terms of servicing customers. There's not really a ton of people on staff. There's not really a ton of people on schedule. And the reason why is because these companies have a much smaller labor allocation budget. They just don't have enough money to put people on the clock to pay people anymore. And the reason why that is because there's less people walking into these places to spend money, because there's less people who have the disposable income to spend on this stuff. So the point in me bringing that up is these corporations are putting the squeeze in certain areas in order to make up for the revenue that they once made.
Agreed.
And one of those squeezes could be that you aren't entitled to free water anymore unless you're buying something. So that's one of the mechanisms that they're using to make up for the revenue loss, is put people in a situation in which they have to make the choice to buy something, even if they didn't want to, because otherwise they won't get what they're really after, which in this case for her is water. I think back in the 90s and 2000s, when there was a bit more of a surplus in terms of people just having spending money and these companies just being able to operate hand over fist, there was less of this going on. We'll give you free water. Who cares? They're not really worrying about their labor shortage or their labor curve or being able to put people on the clock or things like that, because these long-standing enterprises were just making money. But now, especially after the pandemic, when every audience is stratified, I don't care whether we're talking about, look, what's making money now compared to the way it used to. Movie theaters ain't making money. Restaurants ain't making money. You know what I'm saying? No one's buying movie tickets. We just finished talking about the music industry and the Clipse offering revenue sharing for content creators. You think if artists in the music industry were still making money off of the actual music the way that they once were, that they would be considering things like that? Probably not. But because there's much less of a pie to eat from, because the stratification in audiences is all over the place, on top of the fact that people just don't have the money that they used to when you adjust income for inflation. So I'm not surprised by this, but I still feel like human decency should be top of mind. I feel like they were wrong in not giving her the water, but I want to call this corporate greed because I feel like that's the easiest thing to do. It's low-hanging fruit to just call it corporate greed. But I feel like it's a bigger problem than mere corporate greed. I think it has more to do with the current economic circumstances and the fact that it's companies also feeling the pinch, not just the everyday consumer. And so you're going to see that pinch being manifested in various ways, such as this. So yeah, I would highly advise her and others in her position to invest in a bigger cooler that can hold more water.
Yeah, man, but yeah, I come to expect it. You say it's low hanging fruit, but I mean it's so low. I mean, it's the root of the tree.
I only say it's low hanging because it's the easy.
I don't know what you mean, but it's such the platform that it's the answer to a lot of things. I mean, so yeah, you can, you know what I'm saying, get a little bit further in it, but the bottom line of this is those people didn't want to get fired. That's it. And that's why I was making my point where, you know, the person that, you know, where's the human decency, you know, at least on a personal level, the reason why those people didn't do it is because, hey, look, man, it's against policy. These cameras are running 24/7. Somebody gonna say something. They might, you know, it's this weird environment at work, and so that creates it. But then it's just the overriding factor of, as you mentioned, the people at the top are not hurting, and then so these squeezes are intentional. These squeezes, because they're going on across the board, even in areas where there's no fall off in consumerism, even with these streaming sites or whatever, they're putting a pinch on everything. Everybody is feeling it right now. And to me personally, I don't think it's coincidental. I think it's a coup being played on the people, where there's this understanding that if we keep pinching them, even though inflation is doing what it's doing, but we keep pinching them around every corner and blaming it on inflation, then the people will eventually crack and break. And so even for the people that's out there that have jobs right now, it's hard to pay for things. And then, as we always like to talk about, as far as like how the new job market is going to be, where there's going to be a lot of automation going on. I mean, what's going to happen then? Because they're not going to stop the pension. They got even more of a reason to claim, even though they got free labor technically with their automation. But they're still going to find a way to pinch people. They're pinching us to death. Why? Because people threaten other things. And these corporations, they want to maintain their dominance. You know, it's survival of the fittest in a corporate sense to them. So they'll play any type of game in order to make sure that they stay in that position so they can keep eating good, you know. And so this whole idea of capitalism, it makes sense theoretically, but then once it starts to play out and you actually see it for what it is, and you know, because it's not supposed to be any monopolies, there are monopolies, and they just break them down into various corporations. So if all of these, if for instance, if one company is controlling these 30 companies, or these 4 companies are controlling 100 companies or whatever, and the same thing that you go in a grocery store, you think you're buying from these different brands, but you're actually buying from 4 different entities. That is, these things are working with each other. And there is no pinch. These are the people at the top, and they create the pinch. And so why are they doing that? Because people would challenge that. So I agree with you, man. But this has nothing on the bottom base level where the person is just trying to make sure that there's food on the table next month or next week and rent get paid. I saw what they did to the last person that didn't follow policy. I'm not going to be that person today. And that's how you get the you know, the people at the bottom to actually participate in their own cannibalism. And so it's unfortunate, man. You know, I made a joke about it, but it's true. You know, there's been times where I'm working at places, Walmart or something like that, and I've got you know, nothing, you know, illegal, you know, but illegal on policy, yeah. I couldn't give them the hookup, and it's like I'm not trying to be that person. You know, when they want to roll back the tape and they saw me swipe my discount card for you at the time, I'm not doing that. Come on, bro. They fire people for that. I ain't gonna see it be that person for you. Sorry. Where's the humanity, man? So I get it. This is just water, but right. I'm just saying that it's that same mentality that they put on people. So, yeah, man.
Well, I think that's the crazy part about it is that the pinch is now being extended to things like water, where it used to be a situation where it's like, yeah, okay, company discounts, yeah, you don't want to abuse that. You know, using my employee card to scan something so that you can get something for free, or you know, to claim it as waste or something like that. Yeah, you can't really abuse that. But now we've gotten to the point where there's a such thing as abuse of water, on the grounds that if you do not spend money, you can't even get free water. That to me is insane. But I think that it's indicative of what I believe we are living in very, very dire economic straits. And I believe the coup that you speak of, I believe the greatest coup is in making it seem like we're living in some sort of an economic surplus when I feel as though it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, bro.
I think that's the coup. I think the coup is in convincing people that that everyone's out here making money and that everyone's out here got it. And so you're going to experience some form of FOMO if you're not out here getting it, because we're convincing you that everyone else has got it. And no one has it. The only people who have it are that 20, I would say that 15 to 20-ish percent who's up there, but everybody else does not have it. And it's clear that everybody does not have it, because when you go into any sort of a brick and mortar or place of business, no one's working. And it's not because people are trying to do it on a budget. It's because they literally can't afford labor anymore. And when you are looking at that kind of a situation pan out, it becomes evident to me why you would squeeze in certain areas that otherwise seem unreasonable, such as free water, which is silly to me that you can't give somebody free water. They got to buy something just to get water. And it's so weird because she ended up just buying a bottle of water. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So it's like I can get a free cup of ice water if I buy a bottle of water. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's so stupid. But I kind of feel like we are. It's just not. This is the opposite of a surplus, and people ain't got it like that. And what's interesting to observe is not only does the individual consumer not have it like that, but it's also these companies don't got it like that. And I feel where you're coming from. People are not inclined to violate any sort of policy, even if it means helping somebody out. Because if you're put out on the street without a way to earn any income, no one's going to be looking out for your better interests in terms of helping you find a new job. So it just becomes this revolving door of self-opportunism, which I get, because who wants to get fired? But at the end of the day, people ain't got it like that. And that's the companies and the individuals. So I wasn't surprised by this at all. And yeah, I just think, if you're in a situation like this, stop depending on the goodwill of the company to help you, because those days are over. I would say just go ahead and get you one of them big boy coolers so that you can ride out for the whole day and you don't have to deal with the potential of running out of water. Because if you got to run out of water, you might have to make a pit stop back to the crib, because stopping off somewhere to get help from somebody might not get you the result that you're looking for.
Yeah, man. Well said, bro. And she seemed to be pretty solid, because I seen the video. I seen the video where she was doing her retort, basically saying, "Hey, I always carry water," and stuff like that. It's just today I ran out. And that's real, man. That's real. I get it. And there's been times, bro, where I was thirsty, bro, and I was a jet, man. And I'll just go into a random whatever and just ask for a cup of ice so I can get some water. You know what I'm saying? And 98% of the time it was water. Just a few times they had some fizzes in it. You know what I'm saying? When I put some Sprite or something in there. And I would circumvent. But hey, man, when you're a young man and you're just out here, and that's her thing, man. Look, I deliver y'all mail, man. I'm part of the community. Can I get a cup of water? So I get her gripe there. But hey, man, welcome to 2025. And yeah, man, you said they're doing it on cups of water. They're gonna do it on a lot more, man. Eventually it's gonna get to the point where we're gonna have to pay for napkins.
Yeah.
They're gonna it's gonna be a napkin tax.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So I'm down here. I was in Pembroke Pines, and there's a gas station in Pembroke Pines, of all places, where they give you air for free. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, because it's because you can't get most places. If you stop off to a gas station and get put for air, you're gonna have to pay for that. Mm-hmm. And this is the only gas station that I know of where they're giving air for free. You can literally just pull up. You don't have to get no gas. You don't got to go in there and buy nothing. You don't have to do anything. You can just pull up into the gas station, and it's a Shell gas station, and you can just park next to the air machine, set your PSI and just reinflate and put air in your tire. No charge. And so stuff like that, man, is very rare. And I don't know how much longer they're going to be doing that, but these places of business, they look for every single opportunity to get what dollar out of you they can. And I think that that's reflective of how crazy things currently are economically, not just for the individual consumer, but even for businesses. Like, people ain't spending money like that. And so you got to figure out new and creative ways to squeeze them. And even if that includes making them spend money just to get water, which is wild, but that's where we are with this stuff.
Yeah, they drinks already expensive as it is, bro. You know what I'm saying? One cup, $7, $8. I said, for what? $9 for this? Yeah, man. So, they got it, but they just being them people. But hey, man, shouts out to her, man. Get your check, sister. You know what I'm saying? It's a grind out there, especially in this summer. So shout out to her.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Good luck out there, but times is tough, man. Times is tough on everybody. And next up, we have a little bit of internet beef involving DC Young Fly and Rick Ross. There's a bit of a back and forth in terms of cataloging what took place during Rick Ross's appearance on DC Young Fly's podcast 85 South. So Rick Ross, DC Young Fly called out Rick Ross recently for abruptly leaving during a taping of one of their episodes. Rick Ross claims that he had to leave to do something else. He had a prior obligation. And DC Young Fly is saying, the way that Ross left was not cool. And so, Ross has since come out to try and explain what happened. And then DC Young Fly responded. So at this point, these two guys are kind of just trolling one another, going back and forth. So let's see here. So this says Rick Ross and DC Young Fly trade blows over podcast walkout. Rick Ross is no stranger to media crossovers, such as the recent announcement of his Could Have Been House participation alongside Drewski. But one particular incident from back in 2021 is popping out to haunt him, and DC Young Fly is not shy about letting him know that. For those unaware, DC hosts the 85 South show with Chico Bean and Carlos Miller. The cohort recently appeared on Rory and Mal's podcast to talk about an interview they did with Ross back in 2021. At one point of that conversation, Rose said he had to use the bathroom and abruptly left the set, with his team explaining that he had to catch a flight. For the record, he told the Breakfast Club that he didn't do this spitefully. Nevertheless, DC told Rory and Mal that there are some hard feelings about the For the Money rapper's exit. That's because the other podcast he left them for asked him tough questions, whereas 85 South would have avoided damaging inquiries. According to Complex, Rick Ross responded to DC Young Fly via various Instagram story posts. So I'm not going to read those quotes. So here is an exchange between Rick Ross and DC Young Fly as they try to explain their side of the story.
Look, bro, listen, man. I came to your podcast. I came for free, homie, no charge. I did it on Face, homie. I didn't ask you what your analytics was and this and that. I came on Face, homie, to show love. And don't make it like I walked off on you. I left early. Rose had some other things to do too. But guess what? I came for free, nigga. I wasted that nice ass Gucci jacket on that look, man. I couldn't even really wear my Gucci jacket again. But my nigga, I did it for love. And next time I come for free, at least have me some lemon pepper wing stop at that bitch. You heard me? But I came for free. I ain't charge you. Hear me? Don't talk about Rose other business. I came and did that. And what is the analytics? How the show doing anyway, man? I come back on it, and when I'm gonna walk off that bitch the next time, and it's.
And here's DC Young Fly's response.
Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, Ross. You ain't the only nigga. Boosie did it for free. T.I. do it for free. Nigga Busta Rhymes did it for free. Nigga Snoop Dogg did it for free. Everybody who sat on that couch do it for free. Now, that wasn't the biggest moment. Now, that's one of the viral moments, but Boosie episode 8 million. Got Country Wayne shit like 6-7 million. Like, we do numbers, we do analytics. Our analytics, we was the biggest before you came, and we was the biggest afterwards. So you always got room to come back to be on the biggest podcast in the world, Craig. You dig what I'm saying? But when you call a spade, it get hot. And where you gotta go to cool off? I'm going to talk.
This guy.
All right. So there are their respective pieces being spoken. Where do you land on this one? What's your take on this situation?
Well, I mean, of course, Ross is going to be Ross. At this point, he is definitely, and I guess this is why he can go toe to toe with 50 Cent, because he's a troll as a person. I don't think Rick Ross is a real human anymore. I think he is really the personification he created in his brain, and he's just a walking projection of this character. So, and part of him being his character is him saying that excuse me, use the restroom real quick, and never return on the podcast, and then just move about life as if that was just regular business. And then to hear his logic behind it was like, well, I did it for free, so there wasn't no check behind it. Y'all ain't had to pay me nothing, and I wasn't getting paid, so I had to leave to go to something I was going to get actually paid for. And, to him, that makes sense in his mind. And honestly, his mind alone, I'm sure there's going to be people that agree with that, but you know what I'm saying? This is the thought pattern of, a career narcissist, man. So he's definitely a rapper. He is definitely the stereotypical sense of it if he was conducting himself that way. But I can't say that I'm too surprised. Once I saw that clip, I was like, damn, Ross. And then on top of that, on some I'll be right back stuff, but never return. What kind of time are you on as a human? So, but last thing I'll say is that when DC Young Fly was on the show with Maul and them, and he was basically saying that, his issue is that you went to, a podcast from a different community, and you sat there for 2 hours talking the whole time. And he said that, they were also asking you these questions, basically asking if you were a CEO, if you're a correction officer. And so DC was like, hey, man, like, we weren't going to disrespect you with nothing like that. It was going to be all love and things of that nature. But you can go to another community's platform, do the whole thing, and then also get interrogated while you're there. So, I guess DC, I mean, I hear his point there. I'm sure they paid him, but what's a dollar worth? If you can show love to your community, or is it only where the checks are? So again, that's kind of speaks to the type of character Rick Ross is as a person, man. I really can't believe he did this, and I can believe his rationale.
You said you really can't or can?
I can. I can believe him doing this.
Okay.
And I can believe his rationale. I mean, this is in line with a character of a person, not a real person that goes, hey, man, I'm trying to show love in the community, or show love to, these other dudes over here or whatever. And so, I mean, they kept it player, all of them. They weren't really having a beef per se. It was just more of a situation. DC had his take on it, but even then, he said there's still room for you to come back. So, he ain't high key beefing with them, but I can feel his frustrations with that. But what are your thoughts, man, on Rick Ross? All right, Rose, just getting up and walking out of the podcast, and then on top of it, saying he'll do it again if they don't bring no lemon pepper. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Rick Ross is a capitalist. He only lives for making money. So in his mind, the rationalization for him getting up and leaving was, I'm doing this for free. So he probably had convinced himself that they should be thankful for the time I'm willing to give them since I'm not
Correct.
being paid.
Correct.
And when it comes to, leaving to go to a different platform that's, run by people outside of the community, I don't think people in Ross's position care. They just care about making money. So it doesn't matter. I feel like Ross will sign a deal with anybody if the check is big enough. if the check is big enough, Ross will sign on a dotted line because he's just all about making the money. And then if anybody criticizes him about it, he can just get on a song and talk about how much money he made off the deal. And especially in today's hip hop, substance or character don't really matter in terms of being accepted on a popular mainstream level. It's just all about what kind of bag you're getting to. So if he's experiencing too much smoke over this hypothetical that I've laid out, he could just always get on a song and talk about the millions he made off the deal. And then, the criticism will largely just kind of quiet down because people will be like, oh, yeah, well, Ross got that bag, or he got to the money, or he blah, 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 blah. Because, in this particular context, this is when our penchant for worshiping money as God comes into play. So I think at the very least he could have been a bit more respectful, maybe let them know, listen, instead of getting up and going to the bathroom and then you just don't come back. Like he could have at the very least have been like, hey, listen, there's some I have a prior engagement. I'm gonna have to cut our time short. My bad on that, but I'll try to make it up in the future. Let's get something set up. He could have done something like that. But to just say you're going to the bathroom and then you just never come back, that's a slime move. But that's the move that a person such as Ross makes, where it's like, well, y'all wasn't paying me anywhere, so why should I care? So that's why I had to kind of ask you again, because I thought you said you can't see him doing that. But you said you could, because I definitely can too. So I mean, this is just all about cash, money, green, the bag. This is just all about the check. And in this particular industry, talking about hip hop, whoever's getting to the bigger check is oftentimes perceived to be the bigger winner. Now, is that true in actuality? Of course not. But in terms of how this is going to play out perception wise in the perpetuity, if whatever Ross ended up doing gets him to more money than whatever they doing on that podcast 85 South, then Ross will be perceived to have come out on the upper hand, and that's pretty much all that matters. And of course, I say that sarcastically, because I don't believe that that's all that matters, but in reality, it is all that matters. So if he's getting to the bag, no one's got anything to say about it.
Yeah, and that was my point too, as far as him. I mean, he didn't have to just walk out. He could have cut it short and, like you said, gave some type of rationale, any kind of rationale. But come on, man. You done been around people that do stuff like that, where they'll just do something like just uncalled for, and then they'll give you some ridiculous, like, it's just a ridiculous rationale of why they're doing it, or somebody that's you're on the phone with somebody, you're talking to them, and then the phone just cut off. You know what I'm saying? They just, it's like the call drop, and then you call them back, and the phone's like off. It's like, damn, man, like, why do you? Then eventually over time, after you call, it's like, you know what? This person just ended the conversation without ending the conversation. Why did they just say that they wanted to, end the conversation? Or, stuff like that. People do stuff like that. People live like that. And my thing is, when people are doing stuff like that and they're living like that, there's other stuff that's just no good about them. And so for Ross to just do that, that's why I said any level of humanity that I thought this man had, after this, it's like, you know what, bro? You're just over there, bro. You're just something else. And of course, he'll do anything for a check. I mean, hell, he was hanging out with the diddler.
What do you think? What do you think it's like? What do you think it's like to be? And I'm genuinely asking you this. What do you think that? Because this may sound like a silly question, but what do you think it's like to like be Rick Ross's friend? Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine that? It's like Drake, for example. Like, what do you think it's like to be Drake's friend?
I would. It's. I would. I would be. Because I'm not a solid person myself. You see, so being around somebody that's fake like that too, I understand it. It just sucks when they just do me dirty. But I get it because I ain't no good either. And I do other people dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of those thieves thing. It's just they're all just hanging out with each other. And it's like, hey man, you robbed me. It's like, well, I am a friend with a thief. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's one of those numbers because he did gunplay wrong. He did other people wrong. And in different situations, and gunplay is he'll still be around or whatever, but it's still one of those things where gunplay ain't no good. His name's Gunplay. So so his friends, if they are friends of his, they're just a circle of thieves. And for Drake's, man, they're just a circle of cucks. So and either way, man, they're all amongst people that they are, birds of a feather kind of thing.
Yeah.
So but yeah, man. I'm with DC on this. The rest of the team, they stayed silent. He actually vocalized his disappointment and how Ross carried himself. But DC as a group, he's the youngest one. So he's the one that, the older ones understand that there's politics in this. And yeah, he did that and he walked off, but we got to stay politically neutral here. We're not going to have a stance on how he treated us at that point. That's how the older ones were, Chico and all the other ones. But DC was, just a young guy, man. He's just like, hey, man, but that ain't right, though. And it wasn't. So don't sell people something and then do something like this later. I need to have this kind of gall at work functions.
Yeah.
And
right.
so, hey, y'all, I'm about to go use the bathroom real quick. It just never. Hey, you guys seen Dogon? Like he's out of here, bro. You should say he was using the bathroom. Yeah, right. I'd be fired, bro. So.
Exactly. We just got finished talking about with Starbucks.
Hey man, so yeah, man. Shout out to Ross though, man. He always gives me a good laugh, and shout out to DC, man. He's an interesting young guy, but he also makes me chuckle. So shout out to these guys.
Yeah, I just think it was a money play. Ross. I think I don't know him, but just based on my observation, I think that I don't know that he does anything for the good of it per se. I think he does. I think he does what he does because he is strictly money. He is strictly financially motivated, which he's in the right industry for it for sure. So can't take that much away from him. He's sort of built to thrive in the industry that he's trying to be successful in. But yeah, I think he's financially motivated. So I don't think that basic decency occurs to individuals like that. It's just kind of the way it is. So
that's like asking Starbucks to give you water.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Company policy. And next up, we got Akon, Convict Music. Yeah. Akon is trying to set the record straight on what's going on with his this planned city that he's trying to create in Africa. He's trying to create. So for anybody who's unaware, Akon has been talking a lot about developing a self-sustaining city in Africa that runs on sustainable energy and is powered by cryptocurrency. And it's kind of, I guess, his big, hairy, audacious life's goal. And there were reports recently. I actually read an article about the fact that it was scrapped, that it wasn't going to happen, that the authorities in Senegal like they grew impatient with the lack of development, so they've just decided to repurpose the land that was going to be used for this for their own means. And now Akon is basically saying that that's all media agenda stuff. It's not true, and that he's still moving forward with building the city. And don't buy into what the media says. The media has agendas, and it's a media agenda. That's the reason for those reports that Akon City isn't something that's happening. So this says Akon claims the media spread false information about Akon City, hires teams to fight agenda. Akon made headlines last week over claims that his Akon City project had been abandoned by the Senegalese government. Speaking with Philadelphia media personality Mina Say What on the Mina's House podcast, the icon claimed that the media has spread misinformation about Akon City, assuring it's still underway. Media narratives about Akon City's abandonment were false, according to Akon, who explained what really happened to Mina Say What. So I'm not going to read any of that because I'm going to play the clip. So let's see. Is there anything else worth reading here? When asked where the negativity was coming from, the mogul would claim it was due to agendas. To combat these agendas, Akon hopes people will use common sense. Akon City is a city run off of cryptocurrency, solar, renewable energy. He goes on to share Africa's future through its current census, saying it's the development of what Africa will be in the future. We have all the resources to power ourselves, generate our own income, create our own income. Not only that, but we have the population, because when you look at Africa, 65% of the youth or 65% of the whole population is under 21. So here's the exchange between Akon and Mina Say What, in which she explains the media agenda and that Akon City is very much alive and well.
So the infrastructure part, you were building Akon City.
We're still building it.
You still building it.
Yeah.
So why are they saying it stopped?
It's a big dream. It's something that it goes beyond the capabilities of what they think one man can create. And what they don't realize is it starts off as a dream, and then it continues as something that becomes reality as people start to adapt it. So it starts with one building and it becomes something that becomes monumental in the future. But I think what happens is with Africa is one of them places where the development of it starts now, and it will become the future 100%. But Africa's been getting raped for so long by the West. The last thing that they can afford is for Africa to wake up and start to develop itself. So this concept of what Akon City is to become is definitely something that shakes up the agenda.
So you're still having, this is in Senegal. So for people who are unaware, you are building a city. You are building a city run off of cryptocurrency.
That's what media does.
Run off of solar, completely solar, right?
Renewable.
And then it's supposed to be like the real life Wakanda.
It's the development of what Africa will be in the future.
Yeah.
Because we have all the resources to power ourselves, generate our own income, create our own income. Not only that, but we have the population. Because when you look at Africa, 65% of the youth, of the whole population is under 21.
Yeah.
So it's driven by the youth for the future, 100%.
Well, I'm happy that you're still building the city.
Oh yeah,
because the media. So do you now put out a press release? Or you just let them talk?
Well,
how does that work?
All you can, because you can't fight the internet.
Man. You can try.
Listen, I got teams on it trying to combat all the negative false information that these people are putting out. And just last week we had over 23 million false ads on Akon City, just negative.
Where is that coming from?
It's the agendas, the powers that be.
That's
how it works.
Okay.
When they want to destroy something that can change the minds or the mindset of people, that's how they do it, through the media. So all you can do is pray to God and hope that people get it and use their common sense to know that a city ain't built in a day,
right,
or a month, or a year.
And it requires a lot of money,
and time and resources, and people have to believe in it as much as you do.
There you go. So, it's not that there was anything that was said there that's untrue. But I don't know. What's your take on that whole situation? Do you think that there is do you think that there is a media agenda at work to suppress what's going on with Akon City?
I mean, that's what else is he supposed to say? If it's true, yeah, say that. Even if it's not true, yeah, say that. You know, that's gonna muck up the waters a little bit more and buy him a little bit more time. Personally speaking, I guess I took the bait when that negative propaganda was spreading out there on Akon City, because when I saw that one building and then the rest that was going on there, I was like, hey, well, it looks like it's not being close to done. So now, if there's a situation where there's all types of red tape that he's got to cut through, or this and that he was under the impression it would just be this, but there's a whole nother situation going on for either the land or something, who knows, where it's basically a bureaucracy blocking him from actually getting some stuff done, then I can understand that, but to me, the whole goal sounded pretty audacious to begin with. Powering off cryptocurrency. I mean, come on, bro. It's like an NFT city, and that's when NFTs was really popping. Now, granted, Bitcoin is the future. All right. I'm no financial advisor, but Bitcoin is the future. So there's going to be money in cryptocurrencies. But, the Akon coin or whatever it was. Like
Acorn.
Listen, bro. I'm not living in a city where I'm spilling a coin. Sorry, bro. Just call me a hater, I guess. But I just think that that's a little weird. Not in the sense that he's going to be out here making his own money and stuff, but it was just something about, bro, that I just didn't feel as though it was all the way trustworthy. Personally, just a feeling of mine. So I don't have a problem with somebody actually trying to create their own bank, trying to create their own city, and I don't have a problem with the premise of that. I actually supported it. But once it's been year after year after year with no results or no updates, I kind of just wrote it off as, hey, I guess he just Umar Johnson to everybody, And yeah, he has the plot of land. Yeah, he's got one building there, but it's not functional, So, and then on top of that, when people start to ask for updates of what's going on, there's always a grand conspiracy to slow them down. Or you try to pay your own people and they stab you in the back and they just run off with the money. And, so now it's a situation where he doesn't get enough help to do it. So him saying that, hey, one man trying to do it, one man, it's like, yeah, bro, like that was a pretty huge goal of yours. A whole city, I wouldn't have started off there, I would have started with a building and expanded outwards. But him trying to just do it all on one plot of land, have all of this, this Disney World Dubai/city. I was hopeful, but I was like, I don't see how that's going to pan out. So if there's negative press out there, trust me, there are propaganda arms to make things in Africa look crazy. I get it. But to me, this one's believable. Sorry, Mr. Akon. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir Akon saying that, hey, man, there's agendas out here trying to tear me down. In actuality, the city is still going to be a thing. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, this to me is kind of reminiscent of our second topic of with when we talked about Paul Pierce and his co-host talking about foreign women valuing men. And it's like, yeah, nothing that Paul Pierce is saying is wrong, but his argument is incomplete because he's not being honest with his own motivations.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like with Akon, nothing that he said is wrong, but I think that it might be a bit incomplete in terms of truly expressing the scope of what it is that he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen, I don't want to knock the guy, but he, apparently this whole thing came about because he was inspired by Black Panther. So the movie Black Panther inspired him to create a futuristic, self-sustained city on the continent. That was the driving motivation behind him doing this. And he wanted to run the whole thing on a form of cryptocurrency that he created called Acoin. Now, I dip and dab with crypto here and there. I don't see a whole lot of Acoin being sold on the blockchain. Um, and according to everything that I've seen on the internet and everything that I've seen on the Wikipedia page, this looks like it's officially abandoned. It says, now granted, you have to take everything with Wikipedia with a grain of salt.
Mhm.
But on the Wikipedia page, it says in July 2025, the project was officially abandoned, with Akon stating he would instead pursue more realistic projects and opportunities. Now, I looked for said statement from Akon. I don't see any official statement of him talking about him moving on to other things. So he may have a point in terms of that being agenda driven. But I kind of feel like this is a bit of a ambitious project. Like, why, and again, I'm not as look, I'm not as smart as Akon. I'm not in his camp. I don't know what resources he's pulled. I don't know the intricacies of this project.
Mhm.
But what was, when I see stuff like this, I ask myself, you couldn't just start with building like affordable housing in Africa? Like, wouldn't that have been a nice, decent start? Like, why do you have to build Wakanda?
I don't know, dude.
Like, can't we just start with like affordable housing for people in the region who can afford to live in these houses that are technologically equipped and they're run off of solar power and sustainable? Like, you can do all this stuff and you can just like maybe build a community or something, do something that's on a smaller scale
Right.
that can perhaps put people in a position in the future to be a part of your nation building in terms of your vision. But I kind of feel like this is an instance of him going from A to Z. Like, he went from 0 to 100. And it's like there are intermediate steps in between. Like, maybe you can start with developing a community, maybe build a school, like build a self-sustaining tech school or something that can teach people in the region how to be your future engineers, and all of that kind of stuff, so that they can be a part of you building this, doing this whole thing on the level that you wanted to do. But I kind of feel like at the level that he's trying to make it happen, you have to figure out ways to get outside investors into your project in order to make that happen.
Right.
And those outside investors are going to come with outside areas of influence and outside intentions.
Mhm.
And so, from a political standpoint, it's going to be harder for you to make this actually happen. So, again, man, I'm not the smartest person in the room when it comes to stuff like this. I don't know all the details, but it kind of seems like he was a bit over his skis with this, I kind of feel like. Or maybe is, if he's actually still trying to do it and the reports of it being abandoned are false. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he is still trying to do it. Maybe paring it down and going a bit smaller is the smarter play. Maybe instead of trying to build an entire future city, maybe you can start with creating an infrastructure so that locals in the region can acquire the skills and the education that is necessary so that they can be a part of your thing in terms of building the city of the future. That way you'll have your own homegrown engineers and you'll have your own homegrown tech people. You'll have your own homegrown data analysts. You'll have your own homegrown, construction experts, your own homegrown, all of those various things that you need in order to do something like this, right? So maybe start off there and then build up to Akon City. But going from a plot of land to developing a future city that's completely self-sustained and running on Acoin, I don't know. I don't know how feasible that is.
Yeah, man, it felt like a grift when I first heard it. Of course, you want to believe in that. Of course, you want to believe he can execute that, but I mean, it's Akon, man, and you know, you got it. That's billions of dollars. Like you said, that's going to have to be a lot of people investing in that. And if it's going to be a smart city, that's highly technological stuff. That's really expensive. So, yeah, man. Unfortunate, but at the same time, bro, you know, hopefully one day he can get it done. But it'll be the same year that Umar Johnson has a school built. So if that's 2050, so be it. But yeah, man, start off with a small little thing, small little whatever, and expand outwards, bro. But trying to knock out a whole city in one foul swoop it's never been done. So yeah, I guess shout out to Akon, man. You know, of course there are agendas. Like I said, there are media arms that spin things that go on in Africa a weird way. And so for yours to be part of that wave, that's not far-fetched. But you're gonna have to do some explaining. If you can say that, explain why there's only one building there. You know, after all these years, like talk to us. You know, then people wouldn't be so suspicious of what you got going on. And you know, us people that are being classified as haters right now wouldn't be hating. We'll go, no, that actually makes sense. You know, granted, there'll be excuses, but it's better than just saying that there's a media agenda against you. Bro, why is it just one building? So tighten up, Akon, man. You know, I want to believe in this vision, much like I believe in "Smack That" the country song. Did you hear that yet? Is it out yet, or we still gotta wait for that?
No, because he's been trying to build Akon City.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and he said he's been working on that project for years now. So
yeah,
this guy's all talk, man.
Yeah, I just, you know, yeah, you make a good point. I feel like you open yourself up to, well, rather it's harder to convince people that there are forces conspiring against what you're trying to do when there's such little progress that's been made in what you're doing. So yeah, if there were several things that were happening, but it hit a roadblock every single time, that would be one thing. But the fact that there's really nothing that's been made or created, it's harder for you to sell people on the idea that the media is conspiring against you. And I mean, yeah, I'm doing a little background reading on this thing. And I found something here, another AI generated piece of content. It says it's important to note that Akon City's funding structure and progress have been a subject of controversy and scrutiny. The value of Acoin, the intended central currency, has significantly declined, and the project has faced delays and missed payments, leading to Senegalese government to reclaim most of the land allocated for Akon City due to lack of progress. The original Akon City project has since been replaced by a less ambitious, privately funded tourism hub planned by the Senegalese government. So, I mean, I guess if that's media agenda, then I guess he has a point. But I don't know. Thus far, it kind of sounds like he just, he was getting a little too big for his britches.
Right. Yeah, man. One man can't do all of that. Technically, they can, but you know what I'm saying. Like this was a whole team effort that he would have had to get done. But
well, it says the project was intended to be funded by Akon and a group of investors, including high net worth individuals and companies, particularly from Africa and the Persian Gulf states. A significant portion of the funding, initially reported as $4 billion of the $6 billion estimated cost, was reportedly released by investors. Akon himself has stated that the project is not a charity, but rather a social entrepreneurship initiative aiming to empower people in Africa through business development and long-term sustainability rather than relying on donations. He has also mentioned securing a $1 billion credit line from international companies led by Chinese firms. So I don't know, man. This stuff just kind of seems like it's all over the place.
It's a high class finesse. It's a high class finesse. My whole thing is that it had to be an Acoin, and that's the part about it to me that's a dead giveaway of this is all about him. This is some weird self-aggrandizement stuff. He was gonna have some gold statue of himself somewhere, feeding the kids with a lamb next to him. And so, yeah, man, he was gonna have all this stuff going on, and that's the part about it that was a little strange to me. But hey, man, it sounds good on paper. There's a lot of this stuff sounds good on paper, but it sounds like we'll see what happens. But right now, I was always in this space of where the city at, bro. Just show me something.
But that's so crazy though. A whole city, like that's what I'm saying, bro. Like you couldn't just build a STEM research institute in Senegal that runs off of renewable energy. You know what I'm saying? That's solar powered and runs off of renewable energy and offers free tuition. Like start there. Like I feel like if you can afford, not him individually, but if you aim to create a city and your idea of the way that this place is going to work entails something that's going to run $6 billion, I feel like you can feasibly create like a STEM research institute that is powered off of renewable energy and sustainable energy, and it's solar powered and all of that good stuff, and just allow people entry into that institute free of charge. That to me is not going to cost $6 billion.
No.
And I kind of feel like that is the start of creating a true infrastructure, which is going to enable you to create something of the scale that you're looking for. Because you're going to be empowering people with the kind of requisite skills and tools and education that you're going to need in order to help build this thing.
Yeah.
So, but you're running around doing all of this Persian Gulf states and Chinese firms, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, it sounds like a Mission Impossible plot.
Yeah,
like,
man, nah, this sounds like like I said, this sounds like Umar Johnson school stuff. This sounds like it's great on paper, bro, but you got to actually go out there and do this.
Yeah,
and that ain't easy. So, and what you fronting the bill, like being the spokesperson for that city, you're the one that's galvanizing off all of this off a comic book. You know what I'm saying? Like that high that you had that night when you was brainstorming on this. Yeah, it's easy to go out there and get the money for it and sell a dream. It's hard to actually build it. And so some people ain't built for things. And the only thing he's proven right now is that he's not built for this, whether it's good for the better or worse. Even if he's like really trying to do this and he can't get it done, he ain't built for it. Or if he's just out here trying to slime or whatever, he ain't built for it. In either case, he's not looking good here. So I'll still reserve judgment, but it looks like, he was just selling people a vision, so not only just the investors, the whole world. So that's why people looking skeptical. But yeah, man, start off small, man. But shout out to Akon, man. I'll be listening for the country remixes, bro.
Yeah, that's a huge scale project, man. Listen,
you gotta be
bro.
realistic.
Black Panther is a movie, bro. Much harder to actually create that for real. I hope Akon is aware when he was watching Black Panther that was all CGI.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, I think Dubai is as ridiculous as it gets right now, as far as a city that's look crazy.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money going into that.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money going into that, and it still ain't. I hear all kinds of reports about what's going on there. It ain't that. It's all superficial, but those people that would have been investing. I mean, that is big time money that constantly has to get pumped through it. And you bring a good point as far as who's going to run this place. So you need the real infrastructure, and that is the people. So yeah, man. Good luck, man. I ain't no hater. I'm just trying to be realistic here.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like it's an easy ploy to say the media is holding me back.
Absolutely. That's the card I'll play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's the media. It's the media's fault.
Man, they're trying to destroy me, man. It's all fake.
Yeah. Look, man. Akon City, Acoin, all of that good stuff. Hopefully it works out. I don't know.
Convict City. Hell no.
And last up, we got the side piece affair story heard around the world. So if anybody is hanging around on the internet at all, you've probably seen this. There was the CEO of Astronomer was caught at a Coldplay concert with a woman he's not married to. And long story short, the whole thing went viral because it was found out that these two individuals were carrying on an extramarital affair. And so now this guy's resigned as CEO, and they have an interim CEO who's holding down the fort until they pick a new CEO. And he is kind of disappeared into hiding, and it's just a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a cesspool of a situation. The woman he was with was also like some high-ranking HR person within the company too. So there's all kinds of weird stuff that's going on with this. But as the guy who was found out resigned from Astronomer, the interim CEO has spoken, and he is saying that in light of this situation, Astronomer is now a household name. So this scandalous situation actually helped, from a public awareness standpoint, put us on the map. So this says new Astronomer CEO says Coldplay scandal made company a household name. The new CEO of data tech company Astronomer has addressed the infamous Coldplay kiss cam scandal that prompted the last person in his position to resign. Co-founder Pete DeJoy assumed the role of interim CEO after a viral video reportedly showed CEO Andy Byron and the company's chief people officer, so that was her job, chief people officer, embracing on the Jumbotron during a July 18th show, according to the New York Times. Following the scandal, the company announced via post to X and LinkedIn that Byron had tendered his resignation. In a new LinkedIn post titled "Moving Forward at Astronomer," DeJoy broke his silence on the controversy with a more positive take on the situation. The events of the past few days have received a level of media attention that few companies, let alone startups in our small corner of the data and AI world, ever encounter. The spotlight has been unusual and surreal for our team, and while I would never have wished for it to happen like this, Astronomer is now a household name. From starting a software company in Cincinnati, Ohio, to keeping the lights on through the collapse of the bank that held all our cash, to scaling from 30 to 300 people during a global pandemic that demanded we do it all without ever being in the same room, and yet we're still here. Byron is yet to publicly address the controversy or his leave of absence at Astronomer. The company has dismissed a recent fabricated statement impersonating Byron. The video of the July 16th incident at Gillette Stadium has received more than 124 million views on TikTok alone. The viral moment shows a man and woman embracing each other before quickly letting go and ducking out of view when a kiss cam put them in the spotlight at the Foxborough, Massachusetts stadium. Astronomer didn't specify exactly why Byron resigned, but on LinkedIn wrote the company is committed to the values and culture that have guided us since our founding. Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability. So that's that. And so for anybody who has not seen this already, here is the infamous kiss cam video heard around the world where these two individuals who are allegedly creeping get found out. So let's see. Here's this. All right. So here's the video in question.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. I'm not quite sure.
All right, and that pretty much gets the point across there. So yeah, this interim CEO is saying that this scandal has made Astronomer a household name. If I'm going to be honest, I had never heard of Astronomer prior to this taking place. So I guess he has a point. But then again, I'm not exactly somebody who keeps up with tech/AI stories either. So I'm probably also not necessarily in the market. But what do you think? I kind of have a feeling I know what you're gonna say, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because I want to see if I'm right in what you are gonna say.
I mean, you are. I guess you do know me better than I thought, man. But check me out, man. So yeah, this came. I've never heard of astronomy either. All right. So full disclosure here, guys. Surprise. All right. I've never heard of astronomer. When this hit the airwaves, I saw it was just going crazy all over TikTok. So I go, well, what the hell is astronomer? So I went to go Google it. I looked it up and I was like, well, what the hell is this? I said, I don't know what the hell this is. I've never heard of this before. Why is this guy so important? MFers be cheating out here. So why is this guy getting caught so important? So then I saw there was this whole, scandal. It was like a whole lore behind it. People doing investigations about this guy's wife, who the HR lady was married to, and just rabbit holes just popping out of nowhere about this guy as if we give a damn. So I'm sitting here watching this stuff, and as videos come up, I get a good chuckle out of it, and I go, all right, what I'm saying? People crazy, bro. Like, how you feel so comfortable at a concert doing that if you're this highbrow CEO that everybody knows about, apparently. So, I mean, if the kiss cam didn't get you, somebody else would have if this guy's so important. If somebody would have recorded that in their phones. So, I don't know. To me, the whole situation was whatever. Then I saw a video where this guy was, he questioned it. It wasn't nothing deep, but it was just more of a sense of, it was just a paid advertisement. And then, I got to thinking, I was like, hey, wait a second here. Wait a second here. And I said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Because at the time I said, what the hell is astronomer? And who the hell are these people? I don't give a damn that this guy is sleeping with this, you know what I'm saying? This bad body woman over here. But hey, man, teach their own, man. People be doing stuff on the job. I get it. But me personally, bro, I thought I just wrote it off as just some whatever stuff, internet be internet. And everybody likes a good scandal. And then I saw this article. And then I said, you know what, man? Y'all not helping my cause here. Because I'm pretty sure they're jumping with joy over there. They're getting all kinds of exposure that they can only dream of. So if this AI company is actually really as good as what they do, they probably fed in some type of model that said, hey, man, what would get the internet buzzing? And they say, hey, man, how about a cheating scandal? Who knows, man? Weirder things have happened. And right now, I'm not seeing any major losers out of this situation. Now, granted, if divorces start flying and alimony start flying, then I'll reconsider. But right now, man, this has some Will Smith at the Oscars kind of stank to it that I just can't seem to shake at this point. But what are your thoughts, man, on viral CEO getting caught on a kiss cam? And by the way, man, I haven't listened to any recent Coldplay, but Coldplay back in the day, bro, they got bars. Them boys got bars. So I don't know if they've been doing stuff as of late, but good music, those guys.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts? Huh?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, man. What are your thoughts, man, on a cheating CEO out here getting blasted? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah. Coldplay goes hard. Goes hard. I was right. You did say what you did. Your take is what I thought, and I got to be honest with you. I'm with you. This is weird. First of all, are there sloppy cheaters out there?
Yes.
Sure. Yes. There are sloppy cheaters out there. But man, you have to be a really, really sloppy cheater to be the CEO of a tech giant and feel like you can just take your side chick to a concert being attended by tens of thousands of people and just think that you're just going to be able to walk out of there unscathed and not be seen by nobody.
What's that about?
That's the sloppiest of, like, you are the sloppiest, most irresponsible of cheaters if you feel like you can just do that. So that was the first thing that immediately came to my mind when I saw this, was like, and I'm not trying to compare them. I'm not trying to compare them, because these guys are far above this person, in terms of their status. But Elon Musk is not going to get caught cheating at a Coldplay concert. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, these people are not going to get caught cheating at a concert. They are way too rich and way too smart to get caught cheating that ridiculously. So I kind of feel like this guy, he's the CEO of a tech place. I'm assuming he's a tech guy. I'm assuming he has some kind of brains. I kind of feel like he's too smart to feel like he can do this and not be seen. Even if you didn't anticipate the kiss cam, you don't think you might be seen by somebody who might
somebody knows you.
You're the CEO of this thing. So I kind of feel like common sense tells me that there's a bit of a show being put on here. And look, man, I usually reserve my tinfoil hat. Like, I don't put my tinfoil hat on very quickly, so easily. I usually reserve it for situations where I really do smell the fishiness. But I don't know. I guess for me, for this one, I guess I just kind of smell the fishiness, because logic tells me what kind of a cheater cheats that sloppily, who's in the position to lose as much as he is in the position to lose.
Correct.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I kind of feel like that's silly. That's dumb. And then the last thing that I'll say is, and this is this, like, I laugh to myself when I say this, and this might offend people.
Oh, shit.
This might offend some people. But I'm going to say it anyway, because that's how I feel. Bro, this guy is like, what is this guy's net worth?
I didn't even think it looked.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Andy Byron net worth. Let's see. Let's see if we can pull anything up here real quick as I filibuster.
Mm-hmm.
The CEO of Astronomer, a $1.3 billion data infrastructure startup. So blah, 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 blah. The New York Post reported Byron's net worth is estimated to fall between $50 million and $70 million. His annual salary reportedly ranged from $469,000 to $690,000 with additional performance-based bonuses. This is according to Hindu. How do I pronounce this? Hindu's Tan Times. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's weird. But yeah, so $50 million, $70 million estimated net worth, an estimated reported annual salary, $469,000 to $690,000 with additional performance-based bonuses. There's also another report from this in the New York Post as well. So the only reason why I looked that up is because I've never seen a guy in that position. And maybe correct me if you can speak to this otherwise. But for me personally, I've never seen or known of a person in his position to cheat with a woman who is around his own age. I kind of feel like the proper way to do this is the way that the rest of these guys do this. Is you cheat with a little teeny bopper who's half your age. A nice little 21, 22, 23-year-old. This woman looks like a seasoned veteran who's around his age range.
Man, them walls is done.
Yeah, like that to me does not make sense at all. It's like,
that's classic cheating, though. You know what I'm saying? That's old school cheating, man.
No, man, that ain't the way it gets done. I guarantee you, these dudes making this kind of money, man, they're cheating with 22, 23-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Sharp ain't running around with a 40-year-old. He's getting an 18-year-old. He's getting an 18-year-old OnlyFans shit. Shannon Sharp, damn near 60 years old. So I don't buy it. Like everywhere, this to me looks weird. The sloppiness of it to me reeks of orchestration. And the fact that he's with an older woman, honestly, to me also strikes me as unconventional. And for me, when you combine those two things, I feel like you can't rule out the possibility that this was something that was orchestrated for the purposes of putting this company on the map, like in the mainstream.
I agree. And the internet going internet, because I'm sure there's people right now that are just researching this because they're enjoying the drama so much. But what happened when people start flipping over stones and stuff? They're gonna find some stuff if there's things to be found. Yeah, man, I don't know. He might have stepped down as CEO, but he probably still got a lot of stock in the company, or there's something going. Yeah, there's something going on here. Where yeah, man, that 400K, bro, that's a good chunk of money, but you know, that this company's going to see an influx of whatever now. They're going to see bigger money. So yeah, man, I don't know, man. This is I don't know what they're sold. This guy may parlay this into some type of side quest career. Who knows? But this guy's a guy now. He wasn't before. Infamous, granted, but he's a guy that people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that Andy, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, man. So and your point to, you know what I'm saying, just sleeping with the crypt keeper over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but that's what I'm saying, man. That's old school. Sleeping with the HR lady. It kind of makes sense. But I get what you're saying in the sense that these guys,
not if the HR lady is 50 plus.
Yeah, and these guys normally play it different, where there's a code and an understanding of what's going on. And you got CEO dollars. You do it the CEO way, NDAs, other things, and you know what I'm saying? So yeah, this to me is a little I don't know. When I heard Coldplay, I was like, okay, so why did they even go to them? But I guess it's a Kiss Cam, so that makes sense. But I don't know, man. It seemed real coincidental. And it was just too many things happening at once. So hey, if this actually happened and these people are that messy, so be it. But me, I'm the type of person that watches things from here on out and see if they add up and make sense. Because if it don't add up and make sense down the line, then I'm definitely gonna think this was some put on. But if it is, this is that new age guerrilla marketing that I was telling you that Megan Good and Jonathan Majors may have been doing with that situation that we covered.
Yeah.
Because what gets people talking about you is going viral for something. And it looks like, if this is a thing, that the relationship card, it seems to get people buzzing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So why not do something scandalous in that department to get everybody talking and do free promotion for you? So
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, who knows, man? Like, so according to the New York Post, it says Andy Byron's wife could end up a very rich woman if she decides to dump the alleged two-timer. Thanks to Massachusetts 50-50 marital laws, Megan Kerrigan, who shares two kids with the now disgraced AI firm exec, could take home half of her husband's millions, estimated to be anywhere from $20 million to $70 million. So, that's a New York Post article. Trying to find additional research. Just trying to find additional sources to confirm what his estimated net worth is. I don't know, man. In my lifetime, looking at these scandalous situations, there are certain commonalities inherent in stories like this. You typically just don't see, and I know that this is a shallow line of reasoning on my part, and I acknowledge that, but you just don't typically see the guy worth that much money cheating with a woman around his own age I don't know. I'm just harping on that because I find it odd. It's odd. Like usually the rubric for this thing is you get you a little young girl. And my whole thing about it is if this is legitimate and it isn't orchestrated and he really was just sloppily taking it, you know what I'm saying? Like if this is legitimate and he really was just sloppily taking his, seasoned side chick to a Coldplay show, then bro, you deserve everything that comes along with this because like what are you doing? Like what are you doing not handling this in a more smart way? And what do you I don't know. It just seems funny. So
you know, I mean, this is just the low of the low. Find another place to do. Yeah, find another place to do this, bro. Link up at the hotel later. Who knows, man? But y'all on some weird time. But hey, man, people be cheating, but not high profile people apparently. Because who gives a damn about these people? Oh, the CEO of Astronomer. I was like, well, what the hell is Astronomer? So I don't know, man. It's just too much stuff, man. I feel like the internet's doing their job for them, and that's promoting them. So in a world where any publicity is good publicity, these people struck gold. So no wonder new CEO, the guy that was going to be the heir apparent anyway, steps in and says, well, now we're a household name.
Hey, look, man.
What Chris Rock said, this is the greatest night in television history. It's like, I know what y'all on.
Yeah. I mean, the interim guy is correct because at least this past week, I would say the last 7 days or so, or whenever this first happened, this has been one of the more trending topics on the internet, and a lot of people are talking about this and talking about Astronomer. So whether it was real or fabricated, it did effectively do that. So the interim CEO is correct in saying that, so, and then if there's anybody here in the chat or anybody who's watching this video who knows more about cheating than we do, is that like, is like, is it not? Because I feel like taking your side piece to a very public event is sloppy. I feel like I feel like you're opening yourself up to getting caught. And so, but maybe I'm wrong. So if there's anybody who is a seasoned cheater, let us know in the comments if it's fair game to take your side person or the person that you're cheating with to a very, very public venue. Because I feel like that's sloppy, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, even if there's a situation where y'all gonna link up at the concert, why live like that? Why hold from the back, bro? Like, what you want?
Like it looks like they're on a date. Like, and they were on a date, but it's just like
I know
you have to know going in that there is a reasonable risk of you getting caught just by the nature of how you're doing this. So
I ain't buying this shark. Hey, who knows, man? Let us know down in the comment section, y'all. Y'all buying this, man? We our 10-4 hats a little too strong today. What's going on, man?
Y'all cheaters. Y'all cheaters. Let us know, because I know y'all out there. So just let us know if we tripping on that.
Man, they wouldn't be grade A cheaters, man, if they sitting here and admitting it. So
well, they could just be within cheat. They can be within cheatings, But yeah, that'll do it for us, man. Another edition of CA. Another edition of CA is in the books. Thanks to everybody out there for tuning in with us. My name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS, of course. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, hitting that, hitting the like button, leaving those comments. Again, check us out on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. As we continue to kick this logical content, you can check us out also on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach, and we are also on TikTok as well. So if you're more active on TikTok, you can also engage with some of the content there. Also at ConApproach, ConApproach. You can also find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Hey, listen, man. Don't be a group thinker. Think for yourself. Have a mind of your own. And if you're cheating, don't take the side piece to a Coldplay show. That should go without saying, but apparently some people don't realize that that's a sloppy move. Other than that, until next time, we will catch you on the flip side. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. Skr. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Facebook, Meta. All right. Hey, man, if there's a social media platform, Dogon SS is out there. Make sure you guys add that underscore. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and all that good jazz there. All right. And as I say every time, guys, we greatly appreciate y'all for watching, consciously leaving comments, subscribing. All right. Hey, man, maybe you did a little share. We all about that here, the conscious approach. We greatly appreciate it, you guys. All right. And as I say every time, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it pure. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, I've got more rings than Robert Ory. We'll see y'all in the next episode. Skr. Yeah.
That's right. If you're on the stream, stay tuned. And if you're watching this as an individual video, we'll see you next time. But we are out. Peace.
Peace. Skr. And no more water at Starbucks, y'all. Let's boycott that, man. Let's boycott. Start. You with me, dog?
Well, I wasn't expecting to get it anyway, so yeah.
Hey, man, Starbucks is